We're back once again. Next chance of storms moving in right now. The only severe thunderstorm we have right now is right here in Navarro County. We do have a few other non-severe storms stretching from near Stephenville here all the way through Bosque County into Hill County, parts of Johnson. Just about all of our area here, really on the fringes of our area right now. Okay, never mind, I guess. So quite a few storms north of us from really, I would say, Fort Worth, parts of Tarrant County, mostly western Tarrant County up into different parts of the Metroplex, and most of this is missing us from Greenville down to Dallas. That's kind of where you probably have the higher wind risk there. But severe thunderstorm warnings, excuse me, pretty much all through all four counties of the Metroplex here. So I want to focus in on this storm in northern Navarro County. This is really the most powerful storm in our area, really the only severe storm that we have right now. So the Rice area just north of Corsicana, here you have this storm, and yes, we do have a little bit of a curvature here. I'll be watching that. The main concern I have right now is for some small hail, well, large hail really. I would say I've got something in my throat here, I apologize, but if we look at the velocity, we do have a little bit of rotation. Doesn't look organized right now, but I am watching for that rotation right there on I-45 between Rice and Waxahachie, Rice and Corsicana. It's, I haven't even done much today, and I'm already exhausted. It's kind of been a long day. A lot of other things going on. But you can see that this storm, it does definitely pick up in intensity. It's split off. Part of that went to the north here, eastern parts of Ellis County into Kaufman County here, and then now that storm north of Corsicana. That does look to be taking a right turn. So most of this looks to be tracking north of Kearns, and then looks like that will be moving into Henderson County here over time. But right now, it is in, again, northern Navarro County right now, where we could be seeing at least quarter-size hail here. That's what the warning is for. You notice here that's says quarter-size hail there, 60-mile-per-hour winds. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And looks like we have that warning for about another 54 minutes, and so we are looking at. Let's see, I'm sorry, I got to reply to this. There's a lot happening right now. A lot going on. So we have that for about another 54 minutes here, so that's going to be until, I mean, that didn't really make sense with the timeline, but let's see, until 6:45, okay. Okay. So I think we've got that figured out. But this is the strongest storm in our area right now, the only severe storm in our particular area. And again, until 6:45 on that severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. I would say you may be getting bigger than, we may be closer to half-dollar size hail at this point. And I know we want to get a broader look here, so we'll go ahead and zoom this out. Again, it's kind of almost on the fringes of our area. Nothing really going on in the centers of each county. There are storms in western Johnson County, northeastern Ellis County getting a non-severe storm right now. Obviously, there is the severe storm north of Corsicana in Navarro County here, and then a little bit moving into southern Hill County there. This storm right here is headed to really more kind of east-northeast, so I don't expect this to impact Ellis County here. I think that will head into Henderson County, possibly southern portions of Kaufman and Van Zandt counties there. So not much happening in that regard. And then as far as the storms up north, for the moment here, now that's for the moment, they are heading to the east. Now, we've already seen, we saw this yesterday, where a storm was headed east, it took a right turn and moved into parts of Ellis County. We could very well see that in this complex as well. If we go a little further out here, show all of North Texas from Killeen over to Gatesville. They've got a couple of storms down there. Looks like there's a stronger, more severe storm moving into Hamilton County there. A couple of those stronger storms in Bosque County. Decent storms south of, looks like that's moving up into Freestone County there. So there's not a whole lot that's really that organized south of Dallas and Fort Worth. North of there, it is quite organized as this convective complex, not a vortex, it's not rotating, but convective complex continues on to the east. But you do see this starting to build southward a little bit, and we do see an outflow boundary now moving south as well. And so we could be in a situation where we are dealing with this complex stretching south a little bit, and we have all of this new development from the south moving north. And so that's where we're at right now. And realistically here, the development to the south, I mean, it's really hard to say. I'm sorry, excuse me, I'm going to have to get some water or something in here because there's something... something in my throat I cannot get rid of, and this is really not the time for it. So I know that there's Nathan Seward, you're saying the tornado threat is pretty high today. I don't know what you're citing there. I haven't really seen much of a high tornado threat, so I'm not really sure where you're getting that, but I would advise caution in the comments there. Make sure that you're if you're sharing information, let's check that, right? I'm not really sure what tornado threat you're talking about. Today is really mostly a large hail threat, especially for the southern storms, and then the larger wind threat up to the north from Dallas on up to Greenville. So as we continue to monitor really this whole thing, I know that there's some folks who are, and I've already seen the question asking, what is causing all of this? Why can we not get rid of that? And that was my question too. And really part of it is that we have a ridge of high pressure, and I've talked about this, and I've been reviewing this in the models. We have a ridge of high pressure that is trying to build into the south, and so we're kind of on the top of it. And so if that is we look at a clockwise motion of a high pressure system. Let me zoom out a little bit, just kind of give a better scope to this. And so if we're on the top of a high pressure system, then we're looking at a west to east motion here on, really, if you look at it like a clock, on the 12 to 1 o'clock side. So if we're looking this way, that's going to bring these systems in off the panhandle here and just keep bringing those in. That's the pattern that we've been locked into the last several days. And so we continue to kind of be stuck in that because that ridge is trying to build in, but these systems are breaking that up. And so as each of these systems comes in, that kind of disrupts that ridge of high pressure from building in, and we're just kind of stuck on its fringes on that 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock side that is bringing in that northwest flow. Now, later in the coming week, we should get at least a couple of days maybe of influence from that high pressure system, but the way this is going, we could see another return of storms late next week and early into the following week. I'm not guaranteeing that. I'm not terribly confident in that forecast either way. But I just want to make sure that we at least kind of know where we stand on that. I was really rooting for that ridge of high pressure, but it doesn't look as aggressive as it originally did. And so we'll be watching that. I'll be paying attention to see what that looks like over the course of the next several days. Really rooting for it because next week is a time when I could really use some time to take care of other things. And I got a lot of people checking apps and asking me questions here, so let's kind of get back oriented here. And I think there's a lot of people looking at velocity, trying to decide what's what. And so, for one, we had somebody that said there was a high tornado threat in North Texas. I'm really not sure where that came from, but I would advise that I'm really not seeing that. In fact, I'm going to try to check a map and see if maybe that was misinterpreted. Yeah, the Storm Prediction Center doesn't even have a tornado threat in North Texas, so I'm really not sure where that's okay. So it sounds like Nathan was looking at the wrong map there at the Storm Prediction Center and misinterpreting something. But if we look at the velocity here, you can see, so we have some rotation that developed just north of Corsicana, south of Rice. Looks like that rotation is beginning to kind of come undone, get less organized here. And that's been the case with a lot of the circulations that we've seen in this recent season. Now, okay, there's a new severe thunderstorm watch issued. I'm trying to get a map on that. Unfortunately, they take forever to materialize those. So I'm going to keep trying here. For some reason, they issue the watch, and then it takes a long time for that to visually come up. The only watch I have right now, as far as our core counties, includes Ellis and Johnson counties. I'm watching to see if they're going to issue one farther south. I think that they should, and hopefully they have. Hopefully that's what I'm seeing here. Let me think. I've got a couple of things on the screen here that keep defaulting to the wrong thing, and so I can't really see that. So let's check and see where is this watch. I'm trying to get a look at it, and I don't want to sit here and wait for the usual sources. Okay, so okay, I know that the severe thunderstorm watch does include Navarro County. I see that, and we'll just have to wait and see where the watch. What the watch includes once the map comes up, but apparently that's going to take quite a while here. So it does include Navarro County. I'm willing to bet it probably includes Hill County as well. I would be a little surprised if it didn't. But let's just assume that all of our area is included in the watch. Of course, we have the severe thunderstorm warning here, including parts of Navarro County until 6:45. So for our area right now, we were looking at this circulation here. Let me pause this. We were looking at this area of circulation, this little bit of rotation in this particular area. And yeah, so you have this little hook here. We've been watching that, but haven't really seen much. For out of this circulation here, especially the last frame or two. Looks like wind-wise, it's starting to kind of come undone and not be quite as organized. So that's the positive news there, not really seeing much. And again, we've seen that from a lot of these circulations lately, is we have these that will kind of get to spinning up a little bit, but they just don't have what they need to sustain themselves to keep going. And so that's been a bit helpful in preventing these sustained, potentially tornadic circulation. So yeah, finally got the map up here. It does look like Navarro and Hill counties are included in new severe thunderstorm watches. So that is a positive there. We have this outflow boundary that's moving south, and you notice here we have this new severe thunderstorm warning, and does look like they're giving a little bit more room for that to build towards Burleson. So it does look like part of this may be headed towards parts of northern Johnson County, parts of northern Ellis County. We'll keep an eye on that. We have this storm east of Cleburne that looks like it could be picking up some intensity, and then northern Bosque County now getting a stronger storm, one stronger storm near Stephenville. But the strongest here, right here in northern Navarro County, that is headed to the east over into Henderson County. So let me get a quick drink of water here. And I want to zoom in on the, the complex up to our north. So this is Dallas and Tarrant counties, and you can definitely see this is building southward, or south or southeast. And part of that is this outflow boundary that's in place. So as that continues on to the south and southeast, then that could very well impact our area as it gets closer. So we'll be paying attention to that. Right now, it looks like the strongest part of that is going to be to the northeast, moving into Kaufman County and moving through Rockwall County right now. And so that's kind of the main issue, or the main storm here, is this complex that is moving through the Metroplex right now and does look to be building to the southeast. This storm in northern Navarro County is just kind of by itself. Of course, that's where we start looking for that larger hail threat, the higher potentially tornado threat, because these storms can rotate on their own much more efficiently than anything on a particular line. And looking at that storm, we do still have a little bit of a tail there, but it did look like that circulation was becoming less organized. So I'm not as concerned about that at this very moment. That's north of Powell. Kearns, you are getting some heavier rain from this, but it does look like the hail core, the main hail core at least, is north of Powell now, east of Rice, in really mostly a rural area here. So probably not a whole lot of population in this area. There are some, but as that continues on to the east, that will be headed towards Toole, Payne Springs, possibly Gun Barrel City there. And getting a message here from someone. It looks like it's coming into the personal account. So let me get adjusted here. Now this is, I think this is Navarro County. So parts of Navarro County where they are seeing hail at this point. So just a confirmation of that. Sorry, that took me a second. I was looking in the page account, but it looks like it came into my personal account instead. So it definitely send those weather-related messages to the weather page. A little easier to keep up with and look back on over there, as opposed to stuff that's coming on the personal account. So this is the storm we're looking at, and we have had some hail involved there. Edward over on YouTube, there's no tornado warnings right now. No tornado watches or warnings of any kind. You can check weather.gov, select our area, and check and see where those warnings are, of course. But trust me, if there was a tornado warning somewhere, you would know it. We would make it very, very clear. No tornado warnings for our area right now. Caitlin reporting that there was hail in the Rice area, so that was earlier as that storm was over 45. But for our particular area, we don't have any tornado warnings or really much of a tornado threat right now. We looked at this storm, but it really is less organized than it was. Michelle, you have a photo shoot in Midlothian at what did that say? 7 o'clock? 7 to 8. Well, that's the thing. I'm not really sure what that's going to look like. We have these storms to the north that are building in, kind of building to the southeast, and then we have this storm west of Cleburne. That one shouldn't impact Midlothian, but you could be getting an impact by 7 o'clock from these storms to the north. So if you're having to make a decision right here and now, right at this moment, it may be better to reschedule that, because I really can't tell you what 7 o'clock is going to look like in the Midlothian area. There's a few variables there. New flash flood warnings for both Dallas and Tarrant counties here. Plenty of heavy rain has already fallen, and plenty of heavy rain will continue to fall in those areas. And so that will definitely be a concern, some of that urban flooding there. So that is kind of the landscape right now. And I'll zoom this out a little bit, because I know, again, we're going to have more folks looking for where they are on the map and what's headed their way. So the outflow boundary continues to move southward. As that moves in, that will bring gusty winds down from the north. So just be prepared for that. And sometimes these outflow boundaries bring very scary clouds with them. But that doesn't necessarily mean the storm is headed your way. They could. It looks like they are kind of bringing some of those storms down, and then they can definitely add to it with new convection, is what I'll say. And so you definitely want to, once you get that outflow boundary into your area, best to head inside, see what's going on, and see if that's pulling any of the existing storms farther south toward your area, or potentially creating new storms at the helm. Now, going forward here, I know everyone wants to know what the next few days look like. When are we going to stop with these constant storms? And what I'll tell you is that we do have another chance for storms tomorrow. Looks like tomorrow night we could have a complex of storms coming in. I have a schedule conflict that I cannot change tomorrow night, so I'm not sure what that coverage is going to look like. With the persistent storms we've had, I knew there was coming a point where there would be a schedule conflict that I could not change that was going to run directly into one of these storm complexes. So tomorrow night I'm going to do my best to cover anything. I'm hoping maybe it pushes a little later. Maybe that schedule conflict is a little shorter than I think it's going to be. But either way, we'll get through it together. We'll do that together, and we will figure it out. But with as persistent as the storm we have and the variety of different commitments I have, odds are one or two of those might get a little complicated. So we will figure that out when we get there. But just be prepared for more afternoon storms possible tomorrow. I had a couple of questions about what about the overnight storms, and it doesn't at this point look like we will have those overnight storms to deal with tonight. It's looking more like we will have really these coming in this evening, and then more storms possible during the day tomorrow. I wouldn't be too concerned about tomorrow morning at this point, but again, we will have to watch and see when that next complex comes in. And Sancho, you're asking to see the weather cat. The weather cat needs to stay out of here. He's gotten too used to just messing with things, and I can't afford for him to step on the keyboard or something and close this thing out. So unfortunately, the weather cat's gonna have to stay out of here because he isn't able to conduct himself in a way that will let me continue to do this. And as fun as he is, we got to work here. We got to keep this going because this is a wicked season, and we just got to keep things afloat here. So all of this to the north could be moving our way. We could be seeing some of this increasing in coverage. And Michelle, that's part of what I was talking about, is you're saying it looks really bad in Cedar Hill. Now, number one, you are seeing some storms to the north, but if you're looking just at this outflow boundary, the outflow boundary by itself is harmless. Now, the stuff to your north, that's a little more intense. Obviously, you could have some heavy rain, frequent lightning and thunder there. But if you're just looking at that outflow boundary, which does look like it's moving through the Cedar Hill area right now, that on its own, fairly harmless. Some gusty winds, always going to have what we call SLCs, scary looking clouds, but fortunately, the outflow boundary itself is largely harmless. I mean, there's not really going to be anything to be too concerned about with that. So you're hearing no rain in Cedar Hill area right now. Scott Posey, yeah, it was good to see you. Ashley Overstreet, you're grounded at Dallas Love Field due to lightning and strong winds. Love Field definitely getting a very big helping of these storms right now. So unfortunately, Love Field, it may be a little bit before you're able to get where you're going there. Strong storm moving into Kaufman. That's about to merge in with this complex here. This storm in northern Ellis County will be moving to the east here. Looks like actually Dallas Love Field. Looks like there's a report of hail there too. So Love Field getting a little bit of hail at this point. At least from what I can tell, I believe that's a current report. Might be an earlier report there. Looks like the hail core maybe just passed by there. But either way, the rain, the very heavy rain and the lightning, yeah, that's going to keep you on the ground for a little bit as far as that is concerned. Sandy, you just saw a post that Hunt County is under a tornado warning. Well, I mean, if we look at Hunt County, I mean, that's way out of my coverage area, but, you know, why not? I don't see any tornado warnings up here. So, and I don't see anything as far as what the National Weather Service is posting. So, yeah, I don't see anything corroborating a tornado warning in Hunt County. In fact, I don't think we have any tornado warnings. The only tornado warning we have is near Marfa, near Sanderson out here in far west Texas, right in the Rio Grande Valley. So I'm not seeing any tornado warnings near Hunt County at this point. So I'm not sure what that might be referring to. Check the date on that. Make sure that that's not an earlier post. Some of these weather pages haven't figured out yet that they have to put a date and time on everything they post, because a number of their posts will come up later at a later date, later time, and people do not look at the timestamps on posts. Never do. Very seldom do I really actually see that. So you have to be careful with that. You have to, if there's not a date or time on a post, any post on Facebook, because Facebook for some reason will recycle posts. I'm still seeing stuff from 5 days ago from different other weather pages. So you have to check the timestamps on some of these posts, or else you're getting information that is way out of date. And sometimes they don't make clear they don't make clear when that post is from. Tamara, I was waiting for the Whitney check there, and you can see Whitney on the map, and you can see here that there is some shower activity moving through, but you see all the red northwest of you. Looks like the heaviest will stay out of that area. So not much more than that to say about Whitney. Again, this is one of those situations where it changes kind of minute by minute, hour by hour here, because it just depends on where the storms pop up. In Dallas and Tarrant counties, we do have the complex that is making its way. Looks like we're getting a right turn here in southern Tarrant County from this storm. I would not be surprised if that starts moving towards Burleson here. We will take a look at that storm, and it looks to be behind the velocity, or excuse me, the outflow boundary here. I'm going to run out of words eventually after all these storms, but just south of Benbrook, I'm seeing what looked like a little bit of a hook there, and I'm seeing some higher wind speeds, but I'm not seeing immediately anything that has me too concerned about rotation. What I will say is that this is very close to the radar, so it can be a little bit hard to see what's happening there. But we do have some stronger winds just south of Benbrook, just east of Lakeshore Estates, and so we will watch that here. But it at the same time, though, it is behind, at least from what I can tell, looks like it's behind the outflow boundary. So that would prevent inflow, so I wouldn't really be too concerned about rotation there, because this outflow, at least in my mind, would prevent the inflow that would be necessary to make that rotate. So not terribly concerned there, but we will kind of keep our eyes on that going forward. Johnson County, we do have this storm, and yes, I know that Cleburne is not coming up on the map. No clue why. No clue why this program doesn't put Cleburne up there. So, not really sure. Not really sure what is going on there. But Cleburne getting some heavy rain right now. This storm not severe here as it heads to the north. Heavy rain for the Godley area headed up towards Joshua and eventually towards Burleson. Somebody named Parts Guy on Facebook saying, Kevin for Waxahachie Mayor. Unfortunately, I'm not eligible for council. I'm not in the city limits. So, you know, I mean, that would be an interesting thought to entertain, but, you know, I mean, it's not something that's possible, unfortunately. But near Godley, again, we have this heavier shower. Doesn't look like there's really a whole lot of lightning or thunder with that either, just based on that. We'll keep watching this Navarro County storm. I want to check the velocity again, and I'm still not seeing any very organized rotation here. It does, okay, here's the latest scan here. North of Powell, we'll have to keep watching this. Looks like any kind of rotation on that storm is mostly disorganized here, not doing a whole lot. So we'll watch this. We will watch this storm. I continue to be mostly concerned about some gusty winds, large hail with this storm in northern Navarro County. That severe thunderstorm warning does continue for about another 25, 27 minutes here. Thank you to Shannon for your Cash App donation. Thank you, Vicky, for your Venmo donation. Greatly appreciated there. Let me get back to reflectivity here. And you'll see on reflectivity, we do have that hook here, but again, it's not really doing much in terms of those winds. Any kind of rotation is fairly ill-organized here at this point. So I don't really have much concern for this storm in northeastern Navarro County right now, and that is very shortly going to cross the Trinity River here and make its way into Henderson County towards the Toole area, towards Payne Springs, Gun Barrel City, and Eustis. So if we focus on the northern part of the area, my concern is becoming, is the radar going to move here? What's happening? if the computer is tired, I completely understand, but we got to be able to move here. So let me see if we can recycle that here, get that going. There we go. Thank you. So outflow boundary continues to move south. We have this little shower near Godley. That's going to continue to move north. That'll feed into that storm to the north there in Tarrant County. And then you can see that this storm is moving northward into parts of Dallas and Kaufman counties. That will feed in there as well. And overall, this thing is moving mostly to the east, but I am noticing a little bit of a southeast kind of pull here to part of this line. And so I'm not really sure what all is going through there. Now, Robert, the Weather Channel is showing, I'm sure it's showing a lot of stuff, but that future radar, you got to be really careful with that. It's largely unreliable. So don't take the Weather Channel app for too much gospel, because again, it's a model. It's a weather model, just like the others that we use. Usually I can't tell which one it's using. Usually either the NAM model or the HR model, one of the two, and it doesn't really tell us which one it's using, so I don't know where to guide you on that, whether it's the HR model that might be too ambitious, or Tamara. I will get back to Whitney in just a minute. But the Weather Channel app, I can't tell you whether it's the HR app that might be a little bit too ambitious. I can't tell you if it's the one of the other models, HR being too ambitious, or the NAM model maybe being too sheepish. I'm just not sure. I can't add that context to you because they don't give you that context themselves. So you just got to be kind of careful there. And let's see. And Tamara, okay. So getting back to Whitney here, let me answer your question. Hopefully we're good after that. But Whitney's kind of in a hole here. You can see Whitney on the map. You can see where the heavier rain is. Right now, just lighter rain for most of Lake Whitney here. And then, in the Whitney area. So also, I was at the event downtown Waxahachie yesterday. And I want to address this briefly because I know it's a common question. And I try to answer those as frequently as I can. And let me just kind of get out of the way of the radar so that I'm not getting yelled at here first, having myself in in the way of somebody's town. But people ask me how stars work, and because Facebook does a terrible job of explaining it to you, stars, you can put your payment information into Facebook, and you can purchase stars. Stars, I believe it's 1 star per 1 cent, I think. So 100 stars is $1. And you can send those to creators and they get a piece of that. I'm not sure what the percentages are, but I know that Facebook gets a portion of those stars and then the creator gets a portion of those stars. I'm not sure what the ratio is, but they do get a piece of that. So that's unfortunately just kind of how that works. Blake Engel, you said right now it's saying this entire complex is 50 miles north of where it is, if not further. Well, Blake, that's the thing. It's a weather model that's showing where it thinks it's going to be, and that model could be 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 hours old. So, I mean, again, you don't have that context from the Weather Channel. They're not telling you what model it is. They're not telling you when that solution was run and when that came out. So you have no idea what you're looking at. And so that's part of the problem. But it's there so that you'll say, well, this one has future radar and this app over here doesn't. It's a business thing, okay? It's a product. It's a business thing. It's there to have ads. That's what they get out of it, is the ad revenue, the marketing, all that good stuff. So that's just kind of how that works. Thank you to Felicia, Melissa, and Hamad for your donations through Cash App and Venmo. Greatly appreciated there. But yes, these weather apps, Radar Omega, they have models on it, but it tells you what model it is, what time was it run, all that good stuff. You actually get the information so that you can use these different models appropriately if you know how to utilize those. So that's just kind of a quick caution on those weather apps. So a severe storm here near Stephenville, that is headed up towards Granbury and Glen Rose areas there. As I mentioned, near Whitney here, Whitney kind of, it's not, you're not getting much in Whitney. Northeast of there is the heavier precipitation a little bit south of Hillsboro. Moving in south of Fairfield, a fairly heavy thunderstorm, and then we do have the severe storm, the only severe warned storm in our particular area in far northeastern Navarro County. River said, is that you are south into that bigger storm in Fort Worth weakening? I mean, I'm not really seeing much of a weakening trend on that storm. Maybe a little bit in Dallas, but not much. Overall, this whole complex is pretty well holding its composure here, so I'm not really seeing much noticeable weakening in that line right now. Daniel Padilla, you're saying, thank God there wasn't a tornado near M House. There were strong winds that knocked down 2 of your trees. Something I'll say about trees here too is that there's two kinds of weather that can make it easier for trees to break or to fall. Very dry or very wet. Very dry weather, the tree is weaker. The roots are weaker. Overall, it just doesn't take very much. So that's why sometimes we'll have a dry summer, and then you get a random windstorm, and all these trees are blown down. It seems like the world's coming to an end, when really the trees are just weaker. The other thing that can do that is very wet weather, obviously, because the ground is so much softer, and you're just blowing down trees left and right. So keep those things in consideration too. If you're trying to judge the severity of a storm by trees going down, just understand that when you have either very wet weather or very dry weather, that can make it easier for those trees to go down where they otherwise might not. So that's something to kind of consider this. Richard Bowering, you're asking, is there a radar showing live in real time? Most radars, I mean, they're gonna show you live in real time, but I mean, unless you work for the National Weather Service, you're not going to get a live up to that very second sweep. Any of these radar programs that you get, which are programs that are built to interpret radar data that is dispersed by the National Weather Service, they're usually going to update about every 3 to 5 minutes. So I don't know anybody in the general public that has a radar that is updated. Now, Radar Scope, or Radar Omega rather, the program I'm using now, they added this sweep. Tell you the truth, somebody was asking me about it yesterday at the event downtown Waxahachie. The thing is, that sweep, I mean, it really didn't give me any faster data. Everything updated around the same time. So, I mean, I don't think the general public is going to get an end user direct right to that very moment in time radar. Anybody in the public is going to have a product like this that's going to update every 3 to 5 minutes. So that's kind of what you have to work with. So I'm going to try to get into some comments here. A lot of folks asking about certain locations. Any tornadoes coming in Kaufman? There are no tornadoes in the area right now. And I mean, Josh, you're asking about later tonight. I can't tell you a whole lot beyond right now. But the tornado threat is generally low. And folks are asking me, zoom here, zoom that, zoom in here, zoom out there. I can't follow every command, guys. I'm sorry. There's a lot of folks asking about your particular area. Really, the best thing I can do is just show you a broad area so that everybody can see their region, and so that you can get an idea kind of where things are. Now, if you're not familiar with where you are on a map, I would very much encourage learning maps better, because that's really going to help you when it comes to this live coverage. I know that not every little city and town is on this map. Unfortunately, the way this program works is you zoom in to get more, you zoom out to get fewer. And I can't control what's where when. So that's just kind of part of what I'm limited to here. Let me get back to, let's kind of follow the comments here. It's coming to Ellis County. Well, you're asking, is it coming to, I mean, there could be some moving into Ellis County. We have the storm that just left there. There could be more coming from the south, and then we are watching to the north. So Ellis County could get more storms tonight before everything is said and done. And I get the question every night, what weather app do I recommend? And eventually I'll probably just have to make a video about this, but I don't recommend any app that gives a forecast, because the apps that give a forecast, there's not a human-made forecast. Everything is automated. I've had people ask me, why is it that my weather app, every hour the forecast is radically different? because it's reading an hourly weather model, and if that weather model changes drastically, then it's going to change drastically, because it's reading those models and reading everything in that moment as the gospel. So basically, every change in the weather models for that hour is right. That's the new correct forecast. Whether people in the weather profession, meteorologists and elsewhere, we look at trends. We look at trends. We look at those maps over time, the models rather over time, and those kind of things to build a forecast. So we're not going to look at a model and say, oh, this has things 30 degrees hotter. I'm just going to, put that out there, because these models have been wrong, sometimes frequently in the past. So you kind of have to look at the bigger picture. These apps are all automated, so they're all looking at this going, it's almost like it's going to be the person that the last thing they heard is the honest to God truth. They say they have algorithms and all these kind of things, but I haven't seen a single one of those apps that wasn't just kind of back and forth giving you whiplash, changing the forecast all the time. There's also the app, the AccuWeather app, that has a 45-day forecast. That to me is hilarious. So for that, I recommend going to weather.gov on your phone, zoom into your area, put your zip code in. You put your zip code in, that's going to bring up your forecast, and you can add that to your home screen just like an app. And then for radar, I just recommend Radar Omega. And Rhonda Tess, sometimes you just need to stop answering the questions and just cover the weather. I got this. We're good. Let me just kind of catch up with some of these questions here. Radar scope is the best. Some like radar scope better. It's just a preference deal. There's definitely advantages to both of those. Andrew Mashburn, my radar is good for live radar. It's almost on every platform. I didn't have a good experience with my radar. I had some issues there, so I haven't used it in a while. But some people like it. So like I said, everybody has their answer. There's not really a wrong answer necessarily. Let's see. Perry app works great for me. Haven't seen that one. I hope you got some rest today. Maybe a little bit, not much. If I'm not doing this, I'm trying to catch up on all the other things I'm behind on. So a little bit of catch-up mode right now. Over Ferris is looking very weird. Can it be possible for upper level winds to push one way and lower level? Yes. So upper level winds and lower level winds can always go different ways. That's a pretty common deal. For one, that's called shear. That's one thing that can contribute to severe weather. But yeah, you can always have upper level winds going different directions than southerly winds, because there's times where we have the jet stream coming in from the southwest, but then we have winds coming in from the southeast, and that's what's bringing in the Gulf moisture, and so it's not uncommon to have upper level winds and lower level winds going different directions. So definitely not an uncommon deal. It's just more noticeable sometimes than others. Let's see. My radar user here, there's a slight lag. Misjudged how close it was to moving car under the carport and stuck waiting for the lightning to pass. Windy app is great. So I do like the wind. I use Windy's. I use their website because they visualize airflow at different levels of the atmosphere very well. And so sometimes I'll use that to compare some of these models. It's visually easier to just pick up on and read really quickly. So I do like Windy. I do like some of their products. And they do also have different models, and they'll kind of give you more context on what models they're looking at. Is the storm between Glen Rose and Whitney going to converge with that storm up in Keene? I wouldn't imagine so, because the storm in Keene is going to keep moving north of us, so they're not really going to meet each other. If anything, the storm in Keene is going to merge with what we see in South Tarrant County right now, and then that will continue on to the north from parts of Hill and Bosque County here, moving into southern Johnson County. So they won't really meet each other. They're kind of moving in the same place at the same time. So they won't really merge much. Use radar scope with an Allison House data subscription. Yeah, that's another option too. What are we looking at in Burleson? Well, if you look at Burleson, again, look at Burleson on the map. You've got a storm coming from the north, one from the south. So those will converge over Burleson, and I don't mean to sound like the day after tomorrow. That's not going to be some kind of cataclysmic event, but that will mean higher coverage of those strong storms in that area. The sky over Ferris just turned almost completely black. So Ferris, again, you're probably seeing that outflow boundary. It doesn't look as well defined there, but that outflow boundary, the thing is too that you're getting the outflow boundary, so that's moving in from the north, and then the winds are generally moving in from the south. The outflow boundary, that's kind of its own thing, so that's pushing to, those are winds moving out of that storm, pushing to the south. So yeah, you're going to see more kind of different wind speeds, different things going different directions at that point. So that's just a temporary deal. The WAP is honestly great for live radar. True, just don't watch the future radar. Yeah, Andrew, I mean, it's the same as every future radar that's out there. Hearing a lot of, windy and dark clouds where you have the outflow boundary. So just keep in mind the outflow boundary, it's dark and scary looking. It's very intimidating, but it's harmless. It's just going to bring some cooler, if anything, it's going to be a little nice because it's going to bring cooler air into your area. So that's kind of where you're at as far as that outflow boundary moving through. It's going to look scary. It's going to be intimidating. I'm sure I probably got 100 pictures in the page right now. Let's see. I'm trying to kind of catch up on some notifications here. Okay, I think we're good. All right, so starting to get really windy in Oakleaf. So that's I mean, you're looking at increasing winds. Tamara Burke, you use news channel 25, but your radar said before is different, and I trust. Let's see, News 25 is probably one of those hour updates. So News 25, is that a Waco channel? I'm not familiar with them, but if it's a Waco channel, I'm not familiar with the. So that's KXXV. Looks like that is a ABC affiliate. So that's the ABC affiliate in Waco. So Waco and Bryan. So that's that. Yeah, that Waco to Bryan, Killeen and Temple media market there. So I'm not too familiar. I'm not too familiar with the Waco market, but so that's that. I mean, I assume that's an option to go to there. Any rotation or Burleson? Nicole, I'm not really seeing anything, but again, it's hard to tell in Burleson because the radar is in that location. The radar doesn't look straight up. It looks out and so really the only thing I'm seeing in Burleson right now, again, you can see that open disc. The only reason it's green right there is because there's a flash flood warning. But just north of Burleson, that disc, that empty space, is where the radar is located. I do see the winds moving south, so that would tell me that anywhere north of there, I wouldn't expect to see rotation because that outflow boundary is cutting off the inflow. So I doubt that there's rotation in Burleson, but it's hard to tell because of where the radar is located there, just north of town. I'm also not seeing, we talked a little bit about this, but I'm not really seeing any kind of rotation north of Kearns. And so Ashley, again, it's the where you're seeing the outflow boundary, it's going to be dark, scary, and windy. It's going to look like the end of the world, but it's really not much there. Now, you're talking about Burleson. You have these storms coming together. So you do have heavy thunderstorms getting organized in the Burleson area. That outflow boundary right now, let me see where that's located here. So so that's going to be really moving through Joshua, but that's the storms have probably kind of disrupted that. So again, northern Ellis County, you're going to see that outflow boundary moving through. You're going to see that in northern Johnson County here. You have this storm south of Blum that is feeding in. So the western half of our area is getting more active now, and you can see here is their here is your the complex is what I'm trying to say here, the convective complex. I just said complex. I was trying to get convective out, kept coming out as complex. It's just too many weather terms that I'm trying to use here, trying to make it too complicated. But let's see. Cooper in 287 headed to Midlothian. Should I wait? Pulled over at a gas station. I mean, it's if you don't feel comfortable driving in these conditions, then sure, I would wait. I'm not gonna tell you what you should or shouldn't do, but I'll advise you that if you aren't comfortable driving in the very heavy rain, those strong winds, possible hail, then it may not hurt to wait a little bit. So more storms here, and you can see that all of this activity to the south, most of it at least, is feeding northward, so it is feeding into this complex, and that is kind of helping to extend that farther southeast. So the complex that we have in Dallas and Tarrant counties does look like that will affect parts of now Johnson and eventually Ellis County as well. Looks like that will probably stay north of Hill County. Unsure if that will extend down to Navarro County. That's going to take a little time before we really kind of get a better idea on that. Josh, glad you didn't start picking up trees from Tuesday storms, because you're sure you'll be picking up more. Probably so. Unfortunately, like I said, all of the rain we've had makes for very soft ground. That has made getting these trees more difficult, unfortunately, at this point. So, or well, keeping up with them more difficult, I should say, because there could very well be more of those falling down. Right now, flash flood warnings in Tarrant, Dallas, Kaufman, Collin, and Denton counties here. So this complex has a history of creating some flash flooding problems. That will be a concern here, as we've had plenty of heavy thunderstorms and heavy rain in the last several days. Of course, we had that unbelievable flooding a few days ago, and that trend will continue here. So we will be doing more of this going forward. Whitley, you're asking for wind speeds on the storm heading into Hill County. If you're talking about this storm here, I wouldn't expect to see winds more than 30 to 40 miles per hour. That is not a severe storm at this time. Michelle Cornett, you're asking if Mansfield, Arlington is going to get hail. I would say the hail is, if there is hail, it's going to be south of Arlington at this point. But the Mansfield area, you could get some small hail there. I don't see anything too large at this point, but you could get some small hail there. Looks like the outflow boundary has reached the studio here. We got some increasing winds here. Yeah, looks like we got those rugged clouds as well. Again, they're going to look wicked, but the outflow boundary itself is not going to do much. So that's the good news. It's going to look scary, but there's a whole lot more bark than bite there. But it's the storms behind it that will cause more of an issue here. And okay, do you have wind speeds for Kaufman? That wind is tough. So again, the Kaufman area, that is closer to severe level. So I would say probably 40 to 50 mile per hour winds in that particular storm. Sherry Lynch, very windy and dark in Midlothian. You're getting that outflow boundary. So that's what has increased those winds for that particular area. So let's zoom in a little bit on Ellis County here, because again, you do have this outflow boundary. That is all that's moving through right now. That's some gusty winds, dark clouds, those kinds of things. Now, to your north, we do have this storm here. This is in the Duncanville, Cedar Hill area. That is making its way down towards the Red Oak area here. So we're definitely seeing this more, moving a little bit more southeasterly. So be prepared for that there in Venus, Midlothian, Oakleaf, moving into Mansfield now, affecting parts of Alvarado. So that will continue to move to the southeast, and that will be impacting our area fairly soon. Now, I will say that if we do get a power outage here at the studio, we've had 3 this past few days, all from basically the same storm. It was just kind of a chain reaction, kind of a domino effect here. I talked on the stream about how it shorted out the coffee maker. Turns out something shorted out with the dishwasher as well. So we've had some power related issues here. But if we are looking at a power issue here, hopefully that won't be too persistent and we can keep going. Elisa, you're saying a dangerous storm alert for Ellis County. That's not really an official thing. I'm not sure if that's an app that you're looking at or what the case is, but I'm not seeing anything with that verbiage that's official. Gannon, you're asking what's going to hit the Tri-County area at Ellis, Hill, and Johnson. Well, not much right now. I mean, you've got eventually have a outflow boundary headed that way, but there's not much happening right in that area at this point. So be patient, though. It is moving that way. You will get some more activity. So Lisa, it's WeatherBug. So I'm not familiar with the WeatherBug app. I guess it has its own kind of alerts here, possibly, I guess, talking about a strong to severe thunderstorm. So again, that's not really anything official, but it is something from an app. And we've got Henderson County that is tuning in now, so we're going to get a lot of folks asking about that. This is a severe thunderstorm that is headed towards Athens right now. So this is a storm that looks to be weakening a little bit at this point, but still could bring some gusty winds, 50 to 60 miles per hour, and quarter-size hail possible in that storm. I would say more likely is probably nickel to penny-sized hail, but still could get some pocket change-size hail there in the Henderson County area. This is east of our area, but I know we've got a lot of folks who recently started following here. So the storm does look to be weakening. That's the good news, but you could still see some gusty winds and some, I would say, again, pocket change hail in that storm. And so let's keep kind of broadening this out. And at this point, the two main features for our area, southern Navarro County, you do have the storm moving up from the Fairfield area. That's not severe at this time. We do have storms, a storm in parts of Hill County moving into southern Johnson County here. We do have in northern Johnson County this complex making its way in. And so we'll watch that. Right now, that is not severe. There are some, I would say, flooding concerns there, but that storm by itself is not severe at the moment. Come on, Encore Electric, gets Kevin some power. I'm not an Encore customer. I'm not on Encore's grid, so I don't think Encore could really help me out a terrible lot. I'm looking at this outflow boundary outside of the window here, and the gusty winds have definitely arrived here. Those have kind of calmed down. So it's not, I mean, this outflow boundary, it's going to make things dark. It's going to get your attention, but it's not anything too terribly damaging or anything of that sort out there. I'm going to check in on something here. All right, I mean, it's fairly dark. I mean, we're pretty close to midnight here, and we're still about an hour and 45 minutes away from sunset here. So getting dark a little early in parts of our area as these thicker clouds, these more dense clouds associated with these storms and these outflow boundaries move through. So if you were hoping for daylight, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot that we can do. Josh, we need to find you a big generator to keep you up. Eventually, I think I will. I think I'm going to need a moment to think about it, which isn't going to happen with these storms coming through. My summer is going to be chock full of projects around this house because there's things that I've had to neglect getting into the spring here. Usually in the spring, I try to get things done before it gets hot, but it was rainy all winter. This has been active, so now this summer is going to be a very, very busy time once we actually do start getting all of these storms out of the way to where we can actually start to accomplish something. Tamara, you're worried about the overnight storm, so I just shouldn't hear earlier that it doesn't look like we're going to see storms overnight. It looks like we're going to go ahead and get the complex through here, and then I don't think that we will have to deal with anything overnight tonight. Tomorrow, we will see what is waiting in the wings for us tomorrow. It does look like tomorrow evening we could have more storms. I think during the day tomorrow we could be looking at, let me just run a model really quickly here, see if I can get a full run. But it looks like tomorrow we're probably mostly dealing with, I think, evening stuff. Yeah, it looks like during the day tomorrow looks relatively tranquil, at least according to one model. I haven't had a chance to look through more than one at this point. Looks like overnight tonight, we're probably looking at everything staying well southwest of us. And then tomorrow night, looks like that's going to be the next chance, but it looks like most of that's going to be east of us. That's one model. Let me just check one more here. because, we can't just look at one. We got to look at, but we got to look at more than one. We got to see where the consensus is. And this doesn't even have the Texas Tech model. Go Red Raiders. So let's see, that has what's moving through now. Now, I will say that the NAM model does have more storm activity to our north, really across our area throughout the day tomorrow. So even across even less than 24 hours out, these two models are disagreeing with each other. I'll check and see what the Texas Tech model tells us for tomorrow. But I'm definitely looking definitely going to be looking at those to try to figure out what tomorrow looks like. Tomorrow evening, I have things to do. So again, if we have severe weather tomorrow night, I'm hoping that I will be able to cover whatever comes through, but it might be a little bit different. It might be kind of limited because I've got things tomorrow night I can't get out of. And if it's anything like today, or really the last several days, we will have storms. So we'll kind of watch and see. Jill White asking, how many more weeks do you think we will keep getting storms? I have no idea. I know that you are very ready. You comment often that you're very ready for these storms to be over. I do not know how much longer it's going to be. This is kind of one of those things that really just depends on what the ridge of high pressure south of us does. It's trying to build in. It's trying to kind of take over things, but complexes like this one have been disrupting it. And there's also the fact that it's the ridge of high pressure I was counting on for next week, really later this week now, it's looking more sheepish. It's not looking as aggressive as it did yesterday, or really the last couple days. And so, unfortunately, there's probably not a whole lot of help there, but I really don't know how much longer we're going to be in this pattern. It's unclear at this point. I can't look more than, a week or so out and really be confident. What does it mean when the radar says rotation storms? Does this mean there's going to be tornadoes? Well, Heidi, if you're looking at an app that has the little tornado signature on it, has a little tornado icon or whatever, those apps really are taking a wild guess at where they think rotation is. They really don't know. They could be looking at anywhere there's red and green next to each other on the velocity and marking that as a tornado, but that's not always the case. Rotation is a very specific feature in a storm, but these apps, they mark all kinds of stuff as rotation, so that's not reliable. However, to answer the question, just generally, when you have rotation in a storm, yes, that can lead to a tornado. But again, if you're looking at an app or a website or something that's got the little tornado marker on there, those are very unreliable. They're wrong more often than not. And it's just a computer looking at that thing going, I think this is rotation, but it really doesn't. It doesn't have clear training or a real indication of that. So, yeah, you have to be careful about that. I think ask the government when the storms will stop. Okay. Let's see. How's tonight looking for Keene? Well, you can see Keene on the radar, so follow what's happening here. You see Keene there. You see a storm moving in from the south. There's one moving out to the east. So once this storm moves in from the south and once that clears, probably not much else for Keene tonight. We'll have to watch that and see. But at the moment, Keene doesn't have anything too severe going on right now. No severe warnings for our area at this point. But Keene could get another storm or two before the night is done. And a lot of people, tuning in to seeing in Waxahachie how I would say intimidating it looks outside, just to use a different term. And strong winds and those kind of things. It's just an outflow boundary. Not much in Waxahachie right now is in terms of storms. There are some to the north. There's this little storm to the southwest of there, moving northeast, and that could move into Ellis County eventually. But at the moment, there's nothing imminently bearing down on Waxahachie. Nicole, you're asking, is there a hook near Whitney? You might be looking at this here. This is not a severe storm. I highly doubt that. We can look at the velocity, but I highly doubt that's anything. I think it's what I call a coincidental hook. You can see this little bit of red here, but I really don't think that's anything at all. So I'm not concerned about rotation near Whitney at this point. Again, coincidental hook. Sometimes you have storms where it just kind of looks like it has that shape, but it's not actually a rotating hook. There is a difference there. How does Corsicana look tonight? Well, you can see Corsicana on the map. And we'll put this into motion here, and you can see that there does look to be some rain, maybe a thunderstorm or two moving into Corsicana later on, but not anything right now. Nathan, you think the storms in Lubbock and West Texas area can make it towards this area? No, it doesn't look like they will make it to us. Looks like those are going to stay away from our area, at least judging by the models. I will keep an eye on those. I won't be staying up all night. I do have to eventually sleep at some point, but it does not look like the storms in Lubbock and West Texas are headed here. If they are, it'll probably be early tomorrow morning, but not really seeing anything imminent at this point from those storms way out in West Texas. So kind of a wait and see deal with those. So again, this is kind of what we're looking at here. As far as Ellis County is concerned, there's not really much going on there. A little bit of rain kind of spreading in from the north. Really northwest is where we're going to have to watch. We have this heavy rain coming in for the Venus area. Southwestern Dallas County, southeastern Tarrant County here. This storm making its way kind of east-southeast now. That will be impacting parts of northern Ellis County fairly soon, moving into Midlothian very soon. We have this storm here in northern Hill County, southern Johnson County. That is not severe at this time, but could bring some heavy rain, frequent lightning and thunder, and some gusty winds. And then there is a storm headed right towards Richland Chambers Reservoir here from the south, from Freestone County here, from the Fairfield area. That is not severe at this time. So that's where we stand with the storms in our immediate area. Not really seeing anything too terribly concerning. In Henderson County here, that storm, the severe thunderstorm warning was allowed to expire at this point. So that is headed over towards, really over Cedar Creek Lake right now. So that's going to continue on to the east. Could be some small hail there, some gusty winds, but not seeing anything severe at this moment. Alex Vaughn, you say pea-sized hail. Where are you seeing that? If you give me a location, that's going to give me a better understanding of what we're referring to. Natalie, you're asking how is the one headed towards Italy? There's not anything headed towards Italy at the moment. I suppose that this storm could be headed, and Ronan, we'll get to Midlothian in a moment. I see your comments there. But in northern Hill County, I don't think that this is headed imminently towards Italy right now. I think things are going to stay relatively relaxed there. And we talked about Midlothian a short time ago for this particular storm. It's not a severe storm at this time, but it's making its way and could bring some heavy rain and that kind of thing. And Jill, just to repeat on the overnight forecast, it does look like we are storm-free overnight. Can't guarantee it, and I don't know really how late this convection will stick around, but once it does move, I do think that we are mostly storm-free overnight. So if anybody asks that question in the comments, go ahead and throw that in there, folks. The folks that have heard that, because I feel like we're going to get that a lot overnight or over the course of this stream, and I want to try to stay on top of what's happening now. Why do storms from Waco keep popping up in the exact same spot? Isn't that considered a strange phenomenon? Paige, not really. There could be a boundary there. There could be just a pocket of moisture there. That's not really anything strange. No conspiracy theories going on there. It's just sometimes these storms have a tendency to kind of come from the same boundary or a pocket of lift there. So that there's a number of possible questions there. And let's see, nice looking rain shaft north of Waxahachie. Look out of North Grove subdivision. Just got a nice lightning striking thunderclap here in the North Grove part of Waxahachie. So these storms, we're definitely seeing some increasing convection here ahead of that. And so that'll be moving into Waxahachie fairly soon. Rain in Waxahachie off Brown across from Northside Elementary School. So that's that new convection that we see. So looks like in the wake of that outflow boundary and with these storms moving through, we're getting some new lift. So northern parts of Ellis County, we are getting more of that convection here. Yes, windy, super close lightning in North Grove. Yeah, I just just saw and heard that. So that's pretty close to the studio here. So I was I was definitely aware of that, picked up on that when that came through. And we've had a few questions about Italy, and really I don't think, if you're looking at the storm to the west, I don't think that moves through Italy. If anything, the storms to the north might move through there. Is there a specific area in Ellis County that seems to always get the least bad part of the storms? Not really. Ellis County is kind of it's too small to really be able to talk about, more or less storms. Let's see. Is this moving southeast? So it depends on what you're talking about, Cheryl. The storms in northern Hill County, southern Johnson County, moving more northeast, but yes, southeast as far as the storms that are part of this bigger complex, what's moving in from the Metroplex right now. Jeremy, you're outside when that lightning shot above your head. Well, hopefully you're inside now, because that is your that is your warning to get inside for sure. Sitting by the pool, watching the pool vacuum. Yeah, so a lot of people were outside. And Russ, you're asking about Wood County, and my head's blocking it. Well, I'm blocking Wood County so that my core counties can see. So I don't know what to tell you there, but let's see. Okay. Heavy rain striking Midlothian at a very fast pace. So yeah, heavy rain starting in the Midlothian area. Not statistically based, but it seems a lot of storms just miss us in Midlothian. Samantha, it's funny you say that, because I feel like most of the tornadoes I've covered in Ellis County were in the Midlothian area. So sometimes parts of the year it can feel like Midlothian gets nothing, and then I hear people tell me that Midlothian gets everything. So, whether reality and perception can be really kind of funny things in terms of what do you see. Now, windy is some sprinkles on Monticello and Waxahachie. Let's see. Laura will be choreographing a dry day dance, scheduling auditions, and we'd like to join. Anything we can do, let's definitely make that happen, because I think everyone can get a break from this. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning now. Northern Hill County, southern Johnson County, just a sliver there of Bosque County, but really for our area, that's Northern Hill County, southern Johnson County in this new severe thunderstorm warning until 8 o'clock. Now, I will say the severe thunderstorm watch goes until 8 p.m., at least for the portion that covers Johnson and Ellis counties. At least the last I checked. I haven't seen if that was extended or not, but yeah, I haven't quite seen any kind of change in that watch yet. But there were several bulletins that came up that I haven't quite seen yet. So, but until 8 o'clock, 8 p.m., we do have this new severe thunderstorm warning in Northern Hill County, southern Johnson County. So let's kind of jump in on that for a moment. And so 1-inch hail and 60 mile per hour winds. So, and that's for another, until 8 o'clock. So that is just a standard warning. Quarter size hail and 60 mile per hour wind gusts. So that's a pretty standard warning there as far as what we're paying attention to there. Yeah, so it sounds like there's a dangerous thunderstorm alert going out with WeatherBug. I don't know what their criteria on that is. That's nothing official. That's not the National Weather Service. That's just WeatherBug's, I guess, one of their notifications that they throw at you. Hearing that there's hail picking up in Venus, so that's going to be this storm here. Hail definitely possible. I don't think it's going to be very large hail in that area, but this storm could be cycling up now that it's had a chance to kind of get more organized here. So it does look like this storm is picking up in its pace and its intensity, and that is making its way kind of easterly. And here's a new severe thunderstorm warning. Boom. Talk about it right on cue here. New severe thunderstorm warning. So the view numbers will start jumping here, but in the Alvarado Venus area, here's this storm that is quickly intensifying. Midlothian, Oakleaf, Ovilla, Waxahachie, Maypearl. So that's going to be the area that is included here. Also, I would say the Great House 5 Points area here southwest of Waxahachie. And this is where we have the new severe thunderstorm warning. We're starting to get these like clockwork here, starting to get several of them. These storms are getting more organized over time. So you can, yeah, this storm is definitely cycling up. You can see how quickly that is intensifying here, and that is moving to the southeast. So hail will be increasing. Hail is increasing by the Venus area, and that will continue on. And right in my area here, you see this new little cell that popped up here, new development near Ferris. You can see behind that outflow boundary, this is kind of one of the things I talk about sometimes. In the wake of that outflow boundary, sometimes you'll see new development out ahead of these storms. Lauren Ashley, you're saying what size hail is coming or falling right now? I don't know what location you're talking about, so that really depends. How big is the hail in Venus? I haven't seen a report yet, but my guess in the Venus area is probably going to be pocket change hail. Maybe some penny, maybe up to quarter size. I think up to quarter size is what we can guess right here, but it does look like it is increasing there. And a big brain, that's what I was referring to as far as the threat with those storms in Ellis County, the new severe thunderstorm warning. Again, that's 60-mile-per-hour winds, and quarter-sized hail is what that warning was listed for. So yes, and again, we are definitely looking at the hail possibility in Venus, looking about quarter, maybe $half size hail there. So I think hail is probably going to be the main concern in that storm there. And if we look at the vertically integrated liquid, you can see that hail core there, mostly west of Venus. So that is moving in. So if you're, Kelsey, you're saying a part of Venus, you're not seeing that hail, may just not be seeing it yet, may just be outside of your area, but that hail core is increasing there, and we will see larger hail as that moves towards the Midlothian area, towards Mount Peak here. So let's back this off a little bit and just kind of get you updated. I know we've been zoomed in on a few places where we have new severe thunderstorm warnings. The new warnings we have now, one in Northern Hill and Southern Johnson County, one in Northeastern Johnson County, Northwestern Ellis County. And so that's what we're seeing as far as our particular area here. And hearing different degrees of things in Waxahachie. Parts of Waxahachie getting, heavy rain right now. But again, Waxahachie is a good size. So if you hear somebody say, we're seeing this, and then, you hear from somebody else, you hear from Waxahachie, you're hearing hail, and you're going, it's not hailing in Waxahachie, what are you talking about? Understand that Waxahachie is a pretty large place. You can have hail in one part of Waxahachie, and another part of Waxahachie can be completely clear. You could have hail up where Fanatics is going in at 287 and 35, and then you can be completely clear at the lake. So there's just, different parts of town you have to be a little more open-minded about where things are happening. Let's see, how's it looking for Blum? For the Blum area, yeah, you got that storm in that area right now, and that is that severe warned storm. So primarily northern Waxahachie right now getting the heaviest activity. It's fairly dark here at the studio now. Pretty sure it is raining here now, yes. So, and then north of Whitney is where we have that stronger storm there too. But this storm in Venus, we will see that making an impact in our area. Now I want to go storm by storm here. Let's cover the two severe storms we have in our area right now. So in Rio Vista, here's this storm. This is not the severe storm, but that is headed towards the Keene and Cleburne area. And then in the Blum area, as somebody just mentioned, that's where you have the hail. That's where you have the stronger storm that is moving its way north. And that will be moving into southern parts of Johnson County. But I'm interested to see how far north it goes before it gets caught up in the complex and possibly heads southeast. But we'll keep an eye on that and kind of keep you updated there. The other severe storm that we have is here in parts of Johnson, northeastern Johnson County, northwestern Ellis County. So this is bringing hail to the Venus area right now. Part of that storm moving into Midlothian. And then you see in northern Ellis County, these are not severe storms, but you can see one in the Red Oak area and then over towards Ferris north of Palmer. So that is headed to the southeast, so that is moving into Palmer right now, parts of Waxahachie. And then this stronger storm, this is the one that prompted the severe thunderstorm warning from Midlothian to Venus. that storm is headed to the east-southeast as well. Several people asking about that tornado threat, and I'm not seeing much of a tornado threat tonight. That hasn't really been part of the kind of the thinking process up to this point. But I will say that we will definitely be paying attention to that, just in case we start to see the increasing tornado threat anywhere. But for the moment, not really seeing that. Lots of dark clouds out there, lots of motion in these clouds with all the gusty winds we have, but fortunately there's nothing too terribly intense. Thank you, Nancy, for the Cash App donation. Greatly appreciate there. Michelle, again, folks, do me a favor. If you ask a question, give me your location, because location can vary greatly in terms of what you're asking. You're asking which way is the storm moving. Well, if you're talking about northern Hill County, then where it's moving northeast. But if you're talking about Ellis County, these are moving to the southeast. So it really depends on where these storms, where you are, and where to answer the question of where those are going. Wind picked up in Forreston. It got cool out though. Yeah, so any of these outflow boundaries, that's cool air moving out from the storm. That is what you're seeing there. Now, just started watching a Midlothian. Well, you've got this severe thunderstorm warning in place. That storm is moving into the Midlothian area. Looks like it's mostly southern Midlothian, the Mount Peak area. That is going to be the heaviest part of the storm, where you could get some of that hail. Hail in Venus, that is, again, that severe thunderstorm warning that's moving through that area too. And then northern Hill County is where we have this next severe storm that is moving towards the Itasca area right now. That is the Blum area now, moving towards Itasca. That'll be moving more towards, eventually towards Grandview and over towards Maypearl here. And eventually I do expect this storm to get kind of caught up in the line and start moving probably to the southeast with the rest of this. Now, for Navarro County here, we can't forget those folks. We still have this little bit of a line here of a heavier thunderstorm. Not much to that, but you could be seeing some heavy rain over Richland Chambers Reservoir here fairly soon. And then from Hubbard over towards Wortham, another kind of little cluster of showers and thunderstorms there. Let's see. I'm hearing that there's a report of, there's one person reporting sirens in Midlothian, and we hear that a lot. And I think the confusion sometimes in Midlothian is that I think there are outdoor fields, baseball fields and the like, that have lightning sirens that go off. Otherwise, I mean, there could be outdoor warning sirens sounding, but they would be for large hail and strong winds. So no sirens by the high school. So again, it sounds like if we're hearing any kind of sirens, then unless they're putting it in there as a joke, which we've seen before, then you're probably hearing a specific siren in a specific spot and not necessarily the overall outdoor warning siren system. Just got your power on in Itasca Saturday. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is we had 3 separate power outages that were back-to-back here at the studio over the last couple of days. So I understand that frustration. I mean, I'm really hoping that we don't have a problem here because I've had my fill with power issues here, for sure. Definitely had our fill. Lindsay Baker, yeah, the Midlothian near the ballpark definitely can mistake the lightning sirens as the outdoor warning sirens. So again, yeah, that's probably what you're hearing. There's a lot of confusion about that in Midlothian. Is you hear one and you think it's the other. So I'm going to see what I can find out about that and see if there's anything we can do to educate the public better about how those sound, or maybe do something to where they sound a little bit different. But it does seem to cause a lot of concern, a lot of confusion, when one siren means lightning, the other siren means severe conditions, whether it be large hail damaging winds or possibly a tornado. Those are 2 very different things. And so, but we want to make sure that people are informed and are staying informed there. Let's see. Do we have concerns about tornadoes? Again, we're not looking at any kind of rotation right now, at least not that I've seen. not seeing any kind of imminent tornado threat here. So that's the good news, is I'm not really too concerned about that. We can look in a couple of places in the Venus area. We have some gustier winds, and you have some of the red there, but I'm not at this moment too terribly concerned about rotation. So we'll keep an eye on that, but I'm not too worried about it at this moment. So I'm trying to get something. There we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, if it'll allow me to, go ahead and put the velocity over my shoulder here so I can kind of keep an eye on that. I will keep an eye on that storm in Venus. There's gusty winds going on there, so anytime that's happening, I just try to keep it in the corner of my eye. But for the moment, I'm not seeing any kind of rotation that has me concerned here. So yeah, somebody asking about the flash flood risk. Anywhere you're getting heavy rain, there's going to be a risk of flash flooding because of how much rain we've received already so far. I mean, we're coming up on half an inch already in at the studio here, and that will continue to increase as we get more activity in here. And so, let's see. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, we're not looking at any kind of imminent tornado threat right now, but we will let you know if that changes. But for the moment, the biggest concern, some of these storms, there's going to be some large hail affiliated with those. But I would say that the flooding is a concern as well. We have flood warnings up in the Metroplex, nothing here right now, but that could be a continuing concern here. Pea-sized hail in Midlothian in 287 and 360. So that would be pretty far north at this point. So I guess part of that storm could be bringing some more small hail there. My sister is trying to fly out and having to go back to the terminal. Any idea of how DFW Airport looks? Well, I mean, that's kind of out of our area, but we can just briefly zoom out and say there's really nothing happening at DFW Airport right now. Everything is south of there, south and east. But again, I don't work for the airline. I don't know exactly what their criteria are. So, I mean, they could be seeing something that still has them delayed. Unfortunately, patience is required with some of those airline situations. And I know airlines, Love Field and DFW have been dealing with a lot of delays here. We've had storm system after storm system. I know it's very frustrating, but I mean, that's just kind of unfortunately the way things are right now. We just have to live with this complex as it is and hope that we have a change in pattern very, very soon. Gabby, you're saying I'm moving to Odessa in 2 weeks and definitely going to miss you bringing the live coverage. I hope it's not too bad over there. I mean, Odessa, they have their own storms going on out there. Hopefully you find some good coverage there. Obviously, I don't cover Odessa, but it's my hope that you find someone reliable who does. Calmer and Red Oak now is the other storm moving this way. So let me put this into motion here, starting to get a lot of questions about what's moving where. So let's put this into motion so you can kind of see where things are going. And in the Red Oak area, you do have part of this storm, but the heaviest part of this severe storm looks to say south and west of Red Oak. And then we do have this storm here as well, moving northeast from Rio Vista down towards the Hillsborough area, moving right into Itasca. This next severe storm moving to the northeast, but again, I imagine that will probably start getting pushed southeast here fairly soon, but we'll keep an eye on that too. Can we put, we'll work on putting the streets up here. Let's see, Odessa sandstorms are terrible. I mean, yeah, anywhere in West Texas, you're going to be looking at, let's just get the roads up here because I know that's probably going to be a frequent question here. West Texas, you do have a lot of dust out there, unfortunately, so that's just kind of a part of life there. So hail will be possible in Waxahachie as that storm goes forward. Can't guarantee that by any means, but it is possible. Looks like, thank you to See, thank you, April and Marnette, for your donations through Cash App and Venmo. Greatly appreciated there. So here you have the roads here, a little bit easier to see. It's not as attractive a map because it's just gray back there, but it is easier to see some of those details where those are laid out. So that's a benefit to this map, and I may have to just go to this one permanently. Unfortunately, with this map, like I say, it's just gray. It doesn't look not as easy in the eyes as the satellite radar is. Let's see. Okay, just more flight information there. We are in the Edom area. What do you think about the Corsicana storm joining at the bottom of that main line? So, I mean, that's going to be a while from there. So you're talking about this storm south of Corsicana. It's going to be a while before that meets up with the line. So I can't really say right this moment what that's going to do. We're going to have to kind of we're going to have to be a little patient on that and kind of see how that goes. So I'll put this back into motion here. Another question about overnight. Not expecting anything overnight after this. So that's what we're looking at. So yeah, Waxahachie's not out of the woods here. We still have this severe storm. This is what prompted this severe thunderstorm warning that you see that stretches from the Midlothian area over to Waxahachie. And so trying to, yes, Ronnie, we are on YouTube. So just South Metro Weather on YouTube is where you can find that. But the Midlothian area storm, the Venus storm, that is headed to at least parts of Waxahachie. Not sure all of Waxahachie will get to anything, but that particular storm is headed this way. And you can see the storm in northern Hill County, really stretching towards Hillsborough at this point, but into parts of Johnson County. So moving to the northeast here, that's going to move into Ellison County fairly soon, and that could bring some more gusty winds and hail in that storm as well. Let's see. A lot of comments coming in, so I'm going to try to... What about the huge projection from north about 1 a.m. encompassing all of Dallas coming from west? Sean, I don't know what you're looking at. If you're looking at an app, I don't know what app you're looking at. I don't know what to say about that. I can tell you that from what I can see, it looks like most of the convection will miss to the southwest. But again, if you're looking at an app that's looking hours into the future, I don't know. Well, first of all, if you're using an app, I don't know what model it's using, so I can't really commentate on that. Those apps, they use weather models without giving you any kind of context, so you can't make a broader kind of conclusion about that. But, I mean, you probably are, so at this point, I don't have anything on that right now about a storm at 1 a.m. The models that I'm looking at don't really have... So, okay, there's a lot of people... Let's look at this. This must be the Weather Channel app, or the WAP, or one of those, because getting a lot of people saying that an app is showing something very specific. And so let's see. Okay, yeah, I see that. So this is the Weather Channel app that, okay, so this has a whole new complex coming in. Yeah, I don't know about that. So it has a whole complex coming through around midnight, 1 a.m. So I will tell you that I don't see that in... Let me just check the models here and try to backtrack and figure out what the weather app is telling you, because the HR model has everything moving out by midnight, 1 a.m. That's the HR model. Now the NAM model, that hasn't run since this afternoon, so it's kind of old information. It only runs every 6 hours, but it doesn't have anything. Okay, so it has a complex. The NAM has a new complex coming in. but that was early this afternoon. That didn't have. I mean, it didn't really have any of this. It didn't look like not as extensive. So, yeah. So it must be using the NAM model, and that hasn't run for a few hours. So I need to see what it does going forward. I need to see what it tells me in a few hours when we get the next run, which will be here in a couple of hours or so. I'll see that. But I need some patience there to kind of get a better idea of what we're looking at. Okay, hold on. Joseph, yeah, the WAP is what I was looking at because the WAP is using the Weather Channel's data. It's the same data, the same information. So yeah, they're going to be the same because it's the same data source. Megan Webb, could the storm heading northeast and the storm heading southeast cause rotation when they come together? Not immediately. I mean, if there's any kind of rotation that happens here, it would most likely be after the storms come together and get organized. A lot of the time when you have two storms coming together, a lot of times that kind of disrupts the organization. Now, if it comes together in such a way that you get shear in just the right spot, I suppose so. But normally that's going to, if anything, it's going to kind of disrupt that organization, and it'll have to get reorganized before it starts to rotate. But we'll see what happens. We'll kind of keep an eye on what that does as we go through the next few minutes here. Shalom, I see you asking about Italy there. We will address that in a moment. I know we've got our regulars that downstream here start asking about certain areas. Let's see. Rain increasing south of downtown. Yay for my already flooded backyard. Danny, this is not a derecho storm. Derecho storm would have much stronger winds, and we're not looking at that right now. Don't these storms help the atmosphere stabilize for future storms moving into the area? Lucy, generally they do, yes. But it all depends on multiple factors. We've had situations earlier this week where we were pretty sure that the atmosphere was stabilized enough to where we wouldn't have to deal with more storms and that we have just fresh stuff blow up right behind it. So, I mean, in theory, yes, but that doesn't always apply. So we've seen that plenty of that. So Michelle Payne, yeah, that's what we were just talking about. The Weather Channel app and the WAP and some of these with their future radar say that there's a big storm complex coming through. Even the NAM model shows that moving in and dying out. So I'm not exactly sure what it's referencing there, but these apps, they're questionable as far as what data source they're using. It makes it hard for me to kind of fact check that when I don't know exactly what it's using to come up with that solution. But I'm doubtful of that. So, and Kendall, you're saying you've never heard of derechos until this year. Derechos, they're more common in the Midwest. Much more common up there where it's more flat, and so there's not much to stop the wind, so it really picks up momentum. But, I mean, it's fairly flat in parts of Texas too, but we don't have those derechos as often here. So that's why we haven't really heard of that much going forward. A few questions. Woo! That was something. Big lightning strike right outside the window here. And that's going to be increasing, unfortunately. There it is. There's the boom. Let's see. More dime-sized, quarter-sized hail in Venus. More lightning close to downtown Waxahachie. Yeah, I mean, the lightning is going to continue to increase here as the storm moves through it. And folks already asking, when is it going to stop? This will probably be out of here in the next, I would say by 10, 11 o'clock. I think that's probably when we'll see this clearing, at very least clearing Ellis County. And it could be earlier than that. This is, it kind of depends on what do we get after this. But I will say this stuff, as far as moving out of Ellis County, I mean, it's 7:30 now? We can probably say by 9:30 that this will be mostly out of Ellis County. But again, we kind of have to see what happens behind that because I can't, guarantee that everything's going to be gone by that point. We have a lot of moisture in the air, and there's a lot of lift with this disturbance that's moving through. So, we'll kind of have to wait and see. We have this storm near Stephenville that could move through and bring more rain, but we'll just have to kind of we'll have to be careful about forecasting too near in the future here. I'll say after midnight or so, I think we're probably done. There are apps right now that are blowing up a huge complex west of us and blowing that thing through. I'll tell you a story about the Weather Channel app. There was a night where there was nothing. There was no storms in the area. I was sitting in bed, probably reading a book or something, and so I started getting messages just blowing up my phone. And Sean, do you think we're going to get a tornado watch? Probably not a tornado watch because, I'm not looking at a distinct tornado threat at this point. So I'm not really concerned about a tornado watch right now. I'm going to put these in because that loud thunder is going to start distracting me, and I don't need any help with that at this point here. But so as far as the app, it was people were blowing up my phone, and people said, there's going to be this huge storm coming in at 2 a.m. There's going to be this massive storm coming through, and I'm going, what are you talking about? There's nothing here. So I downloaded that app, and it had this massive storm blowing up near Wichita Falls and blasting through the Metroplex. And I said, there's no way that's going to happen. And after about 30 minutes or so, the app corrected and it was gone. But man, for that half hour or so, that app was determined that there was going to be this huge storm blowing through, and there was no basis for it. But those apps, they post stuff all the time. And hey, if it predicts that storm system coming through overnight and I'm wrong, I'll be the first to tell you. But I am doubtful at this point. Let's see. What does your radar show for mile per hour for gusts or stable airspeed? Tiffany, again, it depends on your location. I got to know where, because if you're talking about Corsicana, there's not really any winds going on right now. They're affiliated with those storms. So I got to know locations in order to answer those questions. Pea-sized hail off Singleton and Midlothian. Venus looked like a tropical storm with fast wind from that first storm. Yeah, so these severe storms, you're going to get some gusty winds there and that kind of thing. So Kimla, can he see all questions? I can't see. I don't know if I can see every comment or not. I really don't. Thank you to Christine and Amber for your Cash App and Venmo donations. But I can't always see every comment. So that's the kind of the situation there. There's a lot of comments here. There's about 1,800 people watching this stream right now. So, I may not be able to see every comment there. Let's see. Got you on the 52-inch on YouTube in my command center. Well, I hope I look good on that TV and I don't break it, because not exactly the prettiest face to have out there all blown up like that. Let's see. Got a lot of comments here, so it's kind of realize how unreliable those apps are. I'm going to be watching you. I appreciate that. Let's see. Diamond and nickel-sized hail in East Venus, South Waxahachie. Let's see. Could this storm have a tornado? Not likely at this point. In Penelope, you do have a storm headed that way, but it's not a severe storm at this point. It doesn't look like it's particularly any kind of severe weather. What happens when the two storms collide? Well, really it looks like one's going to miss it to the east there. So we'll see what happens. But as it continues on to the east, looks like those are going to really go behind it. It looks like this one's starting to take a right turn. So we'll see that probably continue on kind of this east, maybe southeast flow here as far as that direction. And then once the storm collides, there's one or two things that can happen. Sometimes they strengthen. Sometimes there's not really much of a change. So it kind of depends on what you're looking at there. See, half golf ball hail near Log Cabin and Malakoff. So half golf ball size hail, I would say that's probably what happened. We're probably talking $50 size, I guess. Um, and Margot, again, monsoon weather. Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely what we're looking at as far as what we're dealing with here. Raining and wind in Murchison. So yeah, plenty of. What app do I recommend getting? Again, I don't recommend any app that has an automated forecast, but I just say go to weather.gov, put in your zip code on your phone. Go to weather.gov, put in your zip code. When that comes up, save that page on your home screen. That's going to be a 7-day forecast. That's going to be more reliable than anything an app will give you. And then for radar, I just recommend Radar Omega. You pay a small fee to get it. It's worth it. You can pay a subscription to get additional features if you want to. Just the base app is great too. Now, Kayla, you say AccuWeather is pretty accurate. I don't know how accurate it is in the short term, but please don't pay attention to the 45-day forecast. There's no way that a 45-day forecast is any kind of accurate. Can I provide any information for Forreston? Well, you do have the storm moving in. So the Forreston area could get some small hail, gusty winds, and very heavy rain here fairly soon. So let's see. The high in Dallas-Fort Worth, the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport today was 88 degrees, so fairly warm. Those warmer temperatures definitely help to destabilize the air, which is why we're seeing so many thunderstorms here. Let's see. Terry jumping into the comments here. Can you show the NS area? Well, yeah, I mean, you can see the NS area here. You do have that storm moving in. And so we will take a closer look here in just a moment. But of course, as soon as I zoom in one place, then everybody else gets upset that they can't see their area. So I'm going to leave this a little longer here, and then we'll kind of go area by area. Starting with Navarro County, just generally, this storm continues to move over Richland Chambers Lake. And so, see, any guess on the wind speed moving towards Mertens? I mean, this storm is not going to have much in terms of winds. This is not a severe storm for sure. Brian, you said you're poking fun. I guess I saw your comment. So we'll kind of take this area by area. Let's just take this county by county. I think that's a fair way to do it. So for Navarro County here, just a couple of storms, really in the southern part of the county. Heavy storm moving towards Richland Chambers, towards the Eureka area. In Morgan, there are no tornado sirens. They're outdoor warning sirens. And if they are sounding in Maypearl, we get a lot of false alarms. But if they are going in the Maypearl area, then they're probably for large hail and strong winds. But for the Navarro County area, this storm, there could be some small hail. Northern Freestone County here looks like that's mostly going to miss Navarro County, but just a few non-severe storms in southern and eastern portions of Navarro County right now. Up to Ellis County, this is where some of the stronger storms are right now. So moving into the Ennis area, moving into Waxahachie, down to Italy and Forreston here. Some of the heaviest activity in the Maypearl area right now, the Mount Peak area south of Midlothian, and south of Red Oak here. So that's where we have one severe thunderstorm. Over to Johnson County here, a couple of things worth talking about. Here's one storm. This is what prompted this severe thunderstorm warning. That is moving more due east now. So that is headed towards the Itasca area, eventually possibly towards Milford. And then in the rest of Johnson County, really everything is pretty much west of Venus right now as far as this next storm, but east of I-35 West. Well, no, east of 35 West, I'm sorry. 35 West is here. It's south of 67. So this is the next storm that's moving in. This particular one I don't believe is severe at this moment, but that is kind of spreading northeasterly a little bit east-northeast here behind this other storm. So more heavy rain headed towards Venus, just moving into the Alvarado area now. And you'll start getting a bit of a break here in Cleburne, but there looks to be more storms off to the southwest headed that way. Moving into Hill County here, and again, we're going through our 4 core counties here. And so west of Itasca, we have this storm. This is the one that prompted the severe thunderstorm warning. That continues on to the east, mostly north of Hillsborough there, but near West and Abbott, down towards Hubbard, we do have a couple more storms. This one right on 35, that is not severe at this time, doesn't have a warning with it, but that is headed to the northeast at this time. And then as we go back area wide here, we do have a growing storm moving towards Glen Rose, towards Walnut Springs there. And that particular one is not severe at this moment. And right towards Iredell there. So Walnut Springs, Meridian, Glen Rose going to get this next storm. That is not severe at this time. And then obviously this complex, we see this line, this broken line here, moving to the southeast as it approaches southern parts of Ellis County, mostly impacting north of 34 here in Ellis County, but it will be making its way towards Ennis, towards Bardwell, and Forest in there too. Rhonda, your Midlothian have been listening to a rumbling thunder for about 10 minutes straight. Well, it's probably just the frequent lightning. You're in a spot where you can kind of hear all of that, all of the thunder from the various lightning strikes. That would be my guess, is just there's more of that going on. I hear there's a cartoon on YouTube called YNG Neto from Waxahachie planning to do a parody on this weatherman. Well, I guess that'll be interesting then to see. Hopefully they're kind. Not they, I'm sure most parody places usually are not, but hopefully they're kind to me generally. Not sure I deserve it, but that's just it. I know that Kaufman County, you are under a flash flood warning right now. That's the primary issue in Kaufman County right now. Not a severe storm, but lots of heavy rain there, and really none of us need heavy rain at this point to exacerbate the flooding that we've already had in many of these areas. So let me get this pulled up here. So, hail and Ennis at the airport, rain, wind, nothing major. So, yeah, probably small hail there, I would say. Looks nasty towards Rice from M House. You're looking north at that storm, so that's going to continue on to the south there. Super windy in Corsicana. Yeah, so you're going to get some winds there. These storms moving in from the south, none of these are severe at this time, but we'll see how that does as it continues to move northward. Hearing a few people over the rain at this point, I hear you. I'm definitely over it too. It's not my favorite thing. It's definitely kept me very busy for sure. And tomorrow, the good news is that it doesn't look like we have too widespread a storm coming in. Looks like during the day tomorrow, maybe just a few scattered storms. So we'll be watching the forecast for you. We'll bring that update to you. But we definitely need to keep an eye on that. Tomorrow night into Tuesday might be our next widespread complex more like this. So I'll be watching the forecast going forward. Let's see, better get all the rain we can before summer. Jeremy, you're not wrong, but the problem is the farmers have had a hard time harvesting much. They've had a hard time planting things, and now we're going to go into summer where everything's going to be too dry. So it's really kind of to a point where farmland is going to be really, really tough because we're going to go from too much rain to not enough, and really not have any kind of period where we might be able to get away from away from the extremes from one direction or another. So that's my concern with all of this, is that we could very well see a really tough transition for the farmers out there. Any severe in Bardwell? Not at the moment. You do have a severe storm headed towards that direction, though. That is the storm moving through parts of Waxahachie and Maypearl right now. Constant thunder here just off downtown Waxahachie. Again, with all the frequent lightning we have, you're probably just hearing the thunder from the different lightning strikes. And it seems like it's constant because you have a lightning strike here, that thunder for a while, and then this strike, and then that thunders for a while. So you're just kind of hearing echoes from all those different strikes. And a lot of concern about these storms converging. At the moment, I'm really not too concerned with it at the moment. I mean, I'm not seeing anything that has me too worried right now about these storms converging. If anything, it'll just be kind of a continuation of that line. Shadow, we're looking at that hook echo over towards Hillsboro, and I'm not really seeing anything on velocity that has me worried right now. I'll keep an eye on that, but for the moment, not really seeing anything that has me worried. Let's see. Any tornadoes? Mystic, no tornado threats right now. Not seeing anything imminent at this point. Let's see. Every day this week seems like North Texas is dealing with flooding. I mean, it could be. It looks like Wednesday, maybe Thursday time period, maybe the rest of Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, somewhere in the midweek area there, we'll have a ridge of high pressure that'll temporarily probably break this pattern, but it doesn't look like it'll be able to stay around. So that ridge of high pressure I was waiting for, unfortunately, it doesn't look like that will be as aggressive as I was originally hoping that it would be. Pick up my cat so we can see the Canton, Ben Wheeler, Texas area. Look, guys, I'm sorry, but I'm standing here so that the rest of the area can see. This is my core area. Canton, I mean, that's outside of my my region. So I gotta stick with the folks that I'm committed to. Let's see. When will the storm stop? We really don't know. I wish I had an answer for you. Wish I had an answer, but there's really nothing I can do to look much farther out to see when these storms are going to stop. But I mean, that's just kind of where we're at right now. These storms are, I mean, you can see what's left of this complex. Some of that is farther east, but where you can see from Kaufman on through Ellis County back into Johnson County, this storm continues to kind of try to fill in behind these storms. It's really stubborn with that northeast direction. This storm going to start going more of a easterly and probably eventually southeasterly direction, I think, when this whole complex catches up with it. But again, that's why it's kind of tough to see exactly what's going to happen here. Now, you notice these storms, there's kind of a broken line of them. I think this is sea breeze that's moving northward. And as that comes in, that could add some inflow to these storms. And we could have a short window when we have to be more concerned with watching what these storms do. So that inflow could do something later on, but that's not imminent at this point. Let's see. Thank you for being here for us. The major networks couldn't care less about us because we don't live north of Dallas. Well, I appreciate that, and I'm glad I can help. Rating hard in Ennis now. Yeah, so that stronger storm is moving into the Ennis area right now. Absolutely. Let's kind of get a couple of things in scope here. This storm moving into Bosque County here. Very strong storm, probably going to be warned fairly soon, so I won't be surprised if that has a warning fairly quickly. And Shalom, again, as I've said before, no tornado risks at the moment. Trust me, you don't have to ask. I will definitely let you know if there is a rising tornado risk. We will definitely cover that. But the complex of storms right now, I'm not seeing any kind of tornado risk that's imminent with these. But like I said, I will definitely put the word out if we are looking at that. Mystic, you're saying Dallas dodged a bullet. If I understand correctly, I believe Dallas got all this stuff before we did. All of this started out in the Metroplex. That's why you see the flash flood warnings up there now. So Dallas and Fort Worth got plenty of these storms before they moved into our area. So I don't know that they really dodged a bullet so much, because it did definitely move through those areas before it was here. The severe thunderstorm watch, I believe in North Texas. Let's take a look at this. Storm Prediction Center just issued something concerning that, but I want to see. I'm not going to be able to see that. If anything, they may be extending that watch, but let's see. Where are we on that severe thunderstorm watch? Gotta love when the National Weather Service website is not working properly. Where do they have the timing here? Do they have the timing here? It almost doesn't look like they do. Do they not have? Okay. So 7 p.m. This is, okay, well, why is it not listing Ellis County here? Well, that must be the earlier one. So that's going to be the one that was until midnight. So that's extended to midnight. and then for the Ellis County watch until 8 p.m. So they'll have to extend that watch because they've only got another 12 minutes left in the severe thunderstorm watch that includes Ellis and Johnson counties. So they're definitely going to have to extend that a little bit. However, I will say as that moves more to the south, again, and Chris, you're asking, your radar seems to always be correct. Why is the WAP so far off? It's showing heavy thunderstorms all night till 3 a.m. Well, and we've talked about this a lot. It's because they're using the Weather Channel's app, which has some kind of a weather. That future radar is a weather model, but I can't always tell what model they're using, and so it can be kind of confusing as far as what it's referencing. So don't pay attention to the future radar. That it's just not reliable. That's just kind of the way it is. Unfortunately, that's been what I've found time and time again. But if you go to the Weather Channel app and the WAP, they're using the same data source, and so it's going to be the same future radar there as far as what you're seeing. Now, these storms to the south are quickly picking up in intensity. I won't be surprised to see some increasing hail risk in these storms as they lift northward, and then as they kind of come together with this line. It could be interesting to see what that does because, again, you're kind of seeing a bit of a boundary here. This is going to be sea breeze. This is going to be inflow, fresh inflow for these storms to use. So we'll definitely pay attention to this. Debbie, you're getting a delay in my voice. That might be, I haven't heard that consistently. So that might be your device. You may have to kind of stop and restart the stream to get that taken care of. But so I haven't heard anybody else say there's a delay in the audio, but sometimes that happens if you've had the video on for a while. I've kind of found, just using it myself, that if I'm on a stream for a long time, sometimes the Facebook stream, you got to kind of restart it. So now, Nicole, you're okay. So several people are saying that they have a delay. I would say if you're getting a delay in the audio, definitely restart the stream. That would be my recommendation, is just to restart the stream. Sometimes if you've been on it for a while, it will, the data almost kind of goes stale and you got to restart it. So that would be my recommendation, is just restart that stream really quickly. Okay, so some are getting the delay, some are not. So yeah, just if you're getting that delay, restart the stream, and yeah, so there you go. Fixed by leaving, coming back. So that's the thing. Yeah, YouTube's going to be fine. So I think it's just isolated to some people using the Facebook stream as far as where they're getting the delay. So I would just close the stream, open it back up. New severe thunderstorm warning as expected for that storm moving into Bosque County there. So that is headed out of Erath County there, headed into Bosque, and that could be moving our way after quite a while. Yeah, the Facebook is garbage with live streams. Sometimes it seems that way. They got so much going on that some of these live streams just tend to get kind of stale, and you got to restart those. Let's see. What in the world is a storm doing by Venus? Needs to get with the program. Again, I mean, you're going to have sometimes these just have a lot of drive and they're just going their own direction, but it looks like it's weakening. So this could be evidence for us that we are seeing that moving into more stable air. And so that could be a good sign, especially if we're trying to avoid whatever late night storm the Weather Channel app is trying to give us. If we can do that where we have that more stable air, we kind of stabilize the atmosphere here behind all of this, then we could be in a better position. Somebody asking what's the deal with different directions? Well, I can tell you that for one, these storms, this is sea breeze from the Gulf. This is surface storms moving in from the Gulf of Mexico, that flow, and then these storms are moving with a disturbance, a complex that was moving through from the north. So just different forces pushing these different directions. Thank you so much, Ashley, for your donation through the Cash App. And Amber, if I didn't say thank you to you, thank you so much for your donation through Venmo. Greatly appreciate both of those. But that's kind of what we're seeing here is you have, this is coming in from the Gulf, and then you have this coming in. This is part of a complex that moved through the Metroplex. Excuse me. So that's where all of these are coming from. That's what you're kind of seeing as far as this coming together. So we're coming up on 8 p.m. here, and the severe thunderstorm watch, including Waxahachie and Cleburne, again Ellis and Johnson counties there, that is going to expire in the next few minutes unless the National Weather Service extends that. They could very well. I wouldn't be surprised if they extend it maybe through 9 p.m. because these storms are still here, still a bit of a severe threat even after 8 o'clock here. But that 8 o'clock, that watch south of those counties in Hill and Navarro and those surrounding areas, that goes until midnight. So I think by midnight we'll probably be cleared out here, but that of course goes farther south, and they'll just trim that thing down as they need to going further south. So the severe thunderstorm warning including Venus was allowed to expire. So right now the only severe thunderstorm warning for our immediate area is Northern Hill, Southern Johnson counties. Really, they could probably cut Johnson County out of that and should probably issue a new warning including parts of Hill, Ellis, and Navarro counties here. So if that storm is still exhibiting severe attributes, they will need to issue a new warning, probably just going due east here. Just lost power in 5 points due to a lightning strike. There is plenty of lightning southwest of Waxahachie for sure. Let's see. Yeah, storm and Venus trying hard to stay north. It's kind of doing its own thing, but it does look like that has shrunk some. Again, like I said, hopefully that's evidence of more stable air behind all of that. So we're seeing these storms that are moving through parts of Hill and Navarro County right now. Moving in, this is going to be fresh inflow for these storms, so we could see this line of storms intensify as all of these move in, not because every time a storm combines it makes a superstorm or something, but because when we have this sea breeze, kind of this boundary here, this impulse of air, this line, once that moves in, that's fresh inflow for these storms. So it's bringing plenty of storm food here, plenty of fuel with it, and we'll see what that does. Anything terrible coming for Blooming Grove? Well, I mean, again, you kind of have to define your level of terrible there. Everybody has their threshold, but I will say that you could get some small hail and gusty winds in the Blooming Grove area with the storms that are approaching there. Let's see, just got an alert for a severe thunderstorm warning coming for Waxahachie. You're near HEB. So what alert is telling you ahead of time that there's a severe thunderstorm warning coming? Not sure what that's referring to. So thank you, Melody, for the PayPal donation there. Greatly appreciated. Let's see. How's the weather for Midlothian? You work in an assisted living facility. So for Midlothian, the Venus area, you do see that storm. That is headed towards the Midlothian area now. That's not a severe storm, but again, heavy rain, small hail, gusty winds possible, some lightning and thunder as well. So that's kind of where things stand there. Getting hail again in northern Venus. So yeah, that's going to be this small storm here. Still packing a little bit of a punch. Some small hail is a part of that. But going forward there, we should be able to avoid the severe thunderstorm warning. As I mentioned, I think that it's going into more stable air. So we'll probably see that weaken as that moves up 67 into Midlothian area and eventually into parts of Dallas. Dallas County under a flash flood warning right now, does not need any more rain, but looks like they could very well get it. So unfortunately, that's kind of where things stand right now. You know, I was looking back at live coverage. We've been live every 2 or 3 days for what seems like most of the month of May, at very least the latter half of May. So been on the air a lot, and you know, I will definitely be looking for a break where I can work on some of the projects I got going on. There's a lot happening, and I know that there are folks who really need help getting a break from the rain. The rain has just been monotonous. It's just been pretty crazy here. The Hillsborough storm, I want to point out here that storm is intensifying. We're going to need another severe thunderstorm warning to cover Hill, southern Ellis, and western Navarro counties here. So hopefully we get that soon. I'm watching this storm, watching this little tail here. It looks like that's been a consistent little feature here just for the last couple of frames. And so, again, a reminder, somebody else is asking about it, but a a heavy thunderstorm, not a severe storm, but a heavy thunderstorm in Phoenix. But we're paying attention to Hillsborough right now because we do have a couple of things I'm going to point out. This storm is intensifying, and now we have this fresh inflow coming in. So we will definitely need to pay attention to this storm in Hillsborough as that goes forward, and increasing winds right now, increasing hail sizes probably too. And so we will definitely need to be paying attention in the Hillsborough area. New severe thunderstorm warning. Okay, so this is interesting. They've issued a new severe thunderstorm warning, but it does not include any part of Ellis or Navarro County. So it looks like they're expecting that to take that right turn we've talked about and head to the southeast. So they're expecting it to kind of take on a couple of things I want to mention here. For one, the complex itself is moving more southeasterly, so probably expecting that to take on that trend. But additionally, if we see rotation continue to intensify, now we've got this storm that just came out of McLennan County headed that direction. And so as that moves in, that will probably at least temporarily disrupt the storm's organization. But if it continues to increase rotation here, then we could see that reorganize and take a right turn and move southeasterly. So the new severe thunderstorm warning only includes parts of Hill County, does not include parts of Ellis or Navarro counties at this point. So the National Weather Service is expecting this storm to pretty exclusively move to the southeast. So we'll continue to watch that. New storm south of Blooming Grove. Looks like that one could be strengthening here as well. Overall, I think we're going to continue to see these collide here, and I think that once they are done kind of reorganizing, this will cause these to disorganize a little bit. So there goes that warning. That has expired. We have the new warning here. These storms will temporarily, I think, get disorganized because when they clash together like that, they kind of get messed around. But I think they will probably be looking at reorganization and that kind of thing here too. I've got to deal with a bot that's coming in here, so let's get rid of that. There we go. Just started to hail in 5 points, so yeah, southwest of Waxahachie, seeing some of the hail increasing there. Mystic, you're asking, clouds absorb each other's energy. I mean, it kind of depends. Depends on what you're talking about. Depends on the context. So there's that's kind of a loaded question, and I'll be happy to answer that in another forum sometime. This storm north of Hamilton started to take a right turn, starting to rotate there. That's outside of our area. That's going to be northeast of Hamilton, northwest of Stephenville there. So those areas will need to pay attention to that particular storm. Storm Prediction Center expanding the slight risk of severe weather to include us. So Alvaro, you're asking what time does this storm move out? I don't know. I don't know your location. So I can't really give you a timetable without being able to tell you when things are going to clear out. Between Maypearl and Waxahachie, and the rain is almost stopped. I mean, you're probably behind all of this. This storm in the Venus area, that is going to probably continue to weaken and more kind of start falling apart in that more stable air. So you're asking where the you're asking about in Rice. So I mean, storms in Rice will probably be there for another, I would say, hour or so as we watch this last little line coming through. Okay, so Heidi, you keep getting alerts for the severe thunderstorm warnings and watches for Waxahachie in the Fox app, but the Fox 4 weather app, the WAP, but it says it expires at 8, but still getting alerts, so I'm confused. I don't know. I don't have the alert set up for the Fox 4 app. I have their app, mostly just for watching Evan when he's on the screen, but I don't have the alert, so I'm not sure. I know that the watch here for our area here in including Johnson and Ellis County was set to expire at 8 p.m. Now, let me go back. I'm on the National Weather Service site here trying to figure out Yeah, I don't see that listed there anymore. So I guess technically the watch has expired for Ellis County here in Johnson County. So anyone know why it sounds like constant thunder near downtown Waxahachie? We've addressed that a few times. Again, I think it's just because there's so many lightning strikes going on that you're just hearing you're hearing the rumbles and you're hearing the echoes from multiple storms, and so you're hearing more than one thunderclap, right? It's just multiple, so you're hearing more than one. It's not one single thunderclap that's just staying there for 10 minutes. It's just you're hearing multiple rumbles from multiple lightning strikes. And I mean, if you look at the radar, you can see there's a lot of lightning strikes here. So I think that's why it sounds like a constant rumble, is you're just hearing different thunderclaps from different parts of the storm. The sky is unique color in Hillsboro. It's bright yellowish green, kind of eerie. So just don't. Okay, and so Molly, you're saying tornado confirmed 6 miles north of Silverton. That's not going to be in our area, so don't get confused by that. That's not a tornado in our particular coverage area here. And don't let anybody tell you that that the green color in a cloud means rotation or means a tornado. There's no correlation there. The Twister movie, they kind of included and perpetuated that myth, but there's no correlation between tornado activity and a color in the clouds. That's just not a thing. It's just that's never been a thing, really. It's an old wives' tale that never has really verified, so there's just not really any truth to that. The only kind of color that you could possibly correlate with something is if you see like a bright turquoise or like a aqua green or something kind of like that up in the clouds. It is possible that you could be looking at a higher hail risk, but that's just because of the way the light hits ice. But again, that's stretching it to be at best. So not really too much of a concern there. And Brian, you're asking, is the Venus storm getting weaker or rotating? Well, that's kind of a weird dyad there, but Brian, the storm in Venus is weakening. It does look to be largely falling apart at this point. And I can tell you at the studio here, we're getting kind of a yellowish hue. And again, it just the color you see in the sky is all about how the light is being scattered. When it's going through those clouds, through the rain, depending on what is going on there, you can get different colors. So that's really what determines that in those particular areas. And a lot of folks asking about Venus. That storm, you're going to get some heavy rain there, some lightning, thunder, but that Venus storm is weakening. So that is a weakening storm. It is falling apart. So not really too concerned about that in that area right now. What I'm curious to see is over the next several minutes here to see, let's see, is it possible for the sea breeze storms to push the other line of storms north? I mean, I guess it's possible, but not as likely. I think we're going to see, I think there's more force pushing this to the southeast. So I think that eventually we'll see this probably just push eastward overall. Is Ennis done with the rain? No, I mean, you've still got a storm here. You can see that on radar. That will take a little bit to clear out. Corsicana, I mean, you can see Corsicana, again, you can see Corsicana on the map. And so you can see that there's more storms headed that way. Could be some small hail with that storm, any of these storms really, and gusty winds and that kind of thing. So that's where we stand now. Let me zoom this out a little bit here, just to kind of, or move it at least, give you a better overall picture of what we have coming through. We are watching the storms from the south and the storms from the north that are coming together here, and I think that, we can already see that they are kind of disrupting the organization of the original complex that went through the Metroplex that moved in from the north, and so we will see what happens there. But I do think that once those storms get organized, we could see these storms intensify once again. You said after this tonight should be clear of rain. So overnight, it does look like we will be without those storms. You did not hear me say we have storms coming later in Ellis County. Now, people are saying an app says that. There is an app that's arguing that, or at least it was. Denise, thank you so much for your donation through the Cash App. Let's see if See if the Weather Channel is still trying to give us storms after 1 a.m. Let's see what that does here. Yeah, it still has a whole new complex blowing up. So this, it's funny. So we'll have to see what this is. So this is what people are concerned about. I mean, you follow this WAP and you follow this whatever model it's trying to say. You can see this thing, and it's hard to see there, but you can see this complex just blow up out near Wichita Falls and Abilene, that area. This just right around 9 o'clock. So between 8 and 9 o'clock, this you can see that this complex just blows up out there, right there, just boom. Big complex just blows up, and it's just like what I've seen before. I don't know what it is about that area, but it has a tendency sometimes to just blow up these complexes and move those through. So I'll be watching that, but I'm doubtful here. I mean, it's already what? We're already just about just after 8 o'clock. So, you know, I mean, I'm doubtful we'll see that. Thank you, Kelly, for your donation through the Cash App. Greatly appreciated there. And so there's, I guess it's possible that there could be this new storm around 9 o'clock that develops way out west and blows through, but I'm not really thinking that's going to be the case. Just lost power in Boz in 5 points. Unfortunately, there has been some power outages that direction. I have been hearing that. We are seeing some increasing winds in Ellis County here, southern Ellis County, near Italy. So increasing winds here. Looks like there's a little bit of a little bow echo there. I'm sure it looks like a hook to most people, but if anything, I'm looking at this and you kind of see a little bow echo here. So moving towards the Bardwell area, towards northern, I would say towards M House eventually. Looking at some increasing winds east of Italy. So I'm going to continue to monitor that. Let me take a look over my shoulder here at the velocity, kind of see what the trend is here. Yeah, so we're looking at, had some stronger winds move through Italy, and then that continues on kind of to the southeast. So we'll be watching this here, and for the moment I don't see, I mean, you can see kind of a hook trying to develop here, but I don't see rotation to correlate with that. And additionally, these storms to the south are pretty well going to cut off any kind of inflow. So I'm not really concerned about tornadoes there, but does look like we have some gustier winds that move through Italy as a part of that storm and could continue to push on to the east there as well. But no rotation that I'm looking at in this area here. Let's see. Okay, so the severe thunderstorm watch for Comanche, Dallas, Eastland, Ellis, Erath, Hood, Hopkins, Johnson, Kaufman, Range, Rockwall, Somerville, Tarrant, Van Zandt counties has expired. So, yeah, as of 8 o'clock, Ellis and Johnson counties, that severe thunderstorm watch has expired. Yeah, Jody, that's what we were talking about just now. Is if you watch that model, that future radar. Which is future radar, again, that's kind of a myth. Radar only shows current and past conditions. They call it a future radar. It's really a weather model, and it's wildly inaccurate a lot of the time. And what it does is it has this huge complex blowing up between Wichita Falls and Abilene and blasting through at about 1 a.m. I'm doubtful about that. I'm really doubtful about that of what I think is going to be the case. And I'm told I'm getting a video of what someone thinks was a tornado. We'll take a look at that. Joshua Cox. Okay, let's take a look at this and see what's being seen here. That wouldn't be a tornado. That would be Joshua, that looks like just a shelf cloud. You can't really see part of it because of the rain shaft there, but it looks like it's just moving straight, and there is some upward movement, but that's just the way that those things move. It has gusty winds there, so that's just a shelf cloud. You're only seeing part of it, which might make it look like a tornado, I guess, just from that angle, but no tornadoes in the Streetman area that I can see. So if anything, you're probably, again, they're probably looking at this area here where we have some straight line winds. So that's probably what you're seeing or actually Streetman, it'd be south of Corsicana. So yeah, you're probably looking at just some straight line winds affiliated with that storm, with that storm that was moving in. So no tornado, probably just a shelf cloud, but I mean, it can look creepy from the angle. That's what's kind of deceiving there. And Jody, you're so tired. I am tired too. Definitely tired. And make sure, if you're not listening to Jody, or JoJo as she's known on the radio, that is, she's on 106.9 The Ranch down in Corsicana. So make sure that you give her a listen tomorrow morning. I'll be listening as well in the morning. So JoJo, you'll get to you'll be able to maybe narrate my coffee in the morning. Just say there's a weatherman up in Waxahachie that is trying his best to wake up and get going this morning as he's desperately drinking down caffeine. So maybe say a prayer for that guy. And somebody asking about Whitney. So you're saying a storm coming into the Whitney area. So still a ways away from you off to the west here. So that storm near Hyco here, not moving much. It's moving fairly slowly to the southeast here, but towards Meridian, towards a little bit of something moving towards Morgan, but not much towards Whitney. If anything, that's moving away from there. So Whitney's going to get a little bit of a break here. Now, again, looking at there's a lot of questions looking forward in the forecast here, so we'll just briefly get into that. Overnight tonight, there is an app that is aggressively trying to say that there's a storm system, another complex coming through. I'm not saying that's impossible, but I'm very much doubting it, and it's me versus the Weather Channel, so we'll see what happens. But tomorrow, I don't see much happening. We could have some scattered showers and thunderstorms again tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow evening, we could have another complex coming through, which is going to be interesting because, again, I have commitments tomorrow night that I can't get out of. And so we'll see what that does, and hopefully I can cover that for you, but if I can't, we'll figure that out later. But going forward from there, next, we were talking about this ridge of high pressure mid to late week. Unfortunately, now that ridge of high pressure is looking less aggressive, so we may get a couple of days of that. Warmer temperatures, dry weather, but looks like we could be back in this pattern a few days after that. So, but again, we're going forward here into, 6, 7, 8 days in the forecast. We'll have to wait to kind of see how that comes out. Now, is yellow and NS? Yeah, so that's kind of the what we're seeing. Yeah, so it just all depends on what the it depends on how the light is scattered. As far as what you're going to see in terms of those colors. So yellow and raining hard off 34 in Abilene. So the thing is, you're seeing the sunlight come in behind these clouds. And so the yellow that you're seeing is just, again, that sunlight and it hitting the clouds a certain way, and that's just the color that's scattered that way there. So that's kind of what you're seeing. And things are wrapping up in Waxahachie here, definitely wrapping up in Johnson County. I would say if you're in Johnson County, things are probably done for the night. But a little bit left here in southern Ellis County, headed towards Bardwell there now in the Abilene area, so that will continue kind of east, southeast here. And then Navarro and Hill counties getting most of the activity here. Looks like those storms from the south moved in, and we're going to see just kind of a continued southeasterly flow of those storms. Allie, not looking at much of a tornado threat here for our particular area, not at the moment at least. I'm not seeing any storms with rotation that I can see here, but we'll continue to, of course, monitor that as we go forward. Lisa trying to fly home, and all flights to DFW from San Diego have been canceled. Unfortunately, I guess the storms have gotten in the way there too much. Thank you to Shelby and Mary for your donations through Cash App and Venmo. Greatly appreciated there. And every time you go speak about overnight, I swear it messes up. My internet is out. I don't know, Tamara, but we're not looking at storms overnight. Maybe somebody reply to her in the comments and just let her know I'm not looking at storms overnight. We do have the app, the Weather Channel app, that says that there's storms coming in, but I'm doubtful on that, but I will continue to monitor that. Basically, we're about 42 minutes away from when that storm system should be blowing up out there, and we'll see what we have So out in West Texas right now, we do have a tornado-warned storm north of Lubbock, and then another storm out northwest of Sweetwater. But so according to that app, about 9 o'clock or so, we'll see this storm. We should see a complex blow up here and blow through the Metroplex. That's what that app is saying. I'm not seeing that in my models. I'm not seeing that as far as what I'm dealing with. But you know, I mean, I can't totally guarantee that won't happen. But I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen. So again, like I said, it's kind of me versus the Weather Channel. So we'll see what that does. But for our particular area, this is going to be moving out of Ellis County here fairly soon. This is not a severe storm. To the southeast of Waxahachie, southwest of Ennis here, right in the Bardwell area. So that storm, that's going to be moving kind of easterly across 45 before long, but not a severe storm at this time. But most of the action continues across Hill and Navarro counties right now at this point. So it does look like now that we've had everything kind of merge here, we'll start to see how this is going to get organized. So moving southeast, that's what I expect from all of this activity, and it does look like we'll see more of a southeasterly progression from these storms. So yeah, we'll see that moving in overall. And Tamara, nobody's upset with you, but we're just trying to get that message to you either way. You see, if you're having internet issues, I know that can be frustrating. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Now, somebody in Gun Barrel City asking when things are going to move out. I would say in Gun Barrel City, you've probably got another 45 minutes to an hour going there. And Tamara, I would say go over to our YouTube stream. The Facebook stream is not the greatest quality. Definitely go over to our YouTube channel and check that out. Chris switched over to the Storm Chasers up in the Amarillo area. Yeah, so Amarillo has very different weather going on right now, more severe weather, but kind of different conditions than what we're seeing. So these storms continue on really the southern half of our area, and they let the severe thunderstorm watch expire in Ellis and Johnson counties, and appropriately looks like everything behind there in those storms is falling apart pretty quickly. I think these storms to the south, I think the atmosphere is much more stable in Ellis and Johnson counties, and then Navarro and Hill, this is all cutting off any kind of inflow that those storms have to fuel them. So I think that's a blessing here. And if we are talking about overnight storms, I mean, if they move into this area, we've been worked over pretty well. So I think they'd probably hit a lot of stabilizing air here. So here's Navarro County, of course, Hill County. Here's the remaining storms that we have. And no severe thunderstorm warnings for Navarro County right now. A lot of lightning and thunder here, a lot of heavy rain. Jared, okay, we don't need to be using language for anybody in this stream. I know we're all adults, but Jared, come on, man, calm down. Jody was letting her know that the answer had been given. There's not a problem. I don't think we need to be going after anybody here. That's not going to help anybody. Let's just all be adults here and take care of business. So in Navarro County here, from Dawson towards Corsicana and Kearns, really south of central Navarro County, but south of Kearns, south of Blooming Grove, that's where we have the heaviest of this. I'm a little more concerned about flooding here because as these two come together, there's not a whole lot of movement going on. So that could mean some flooding issues here as this slowly but surely moves through. This storm moving east into Henderson County here, but as far as Navarro County, I definitely think that flooding could become a problem in this area until it starts moving out again. But it's staying fairly stationary here for the most part. Probably the heaviest part of the storm here right over Richland Chambers Reservoir. Could be some small hail there south of Kearns on kind of the east side of the lake. And then south of Corsicana here, really Corsicana will probably get some more heavy rain here as this continues to the southeast. But south of Blooming Grove, north of Dawson, lots of heavy rain there too. And then from Hillsboro on down towards Hubbard, another strong storm there as well. So we continue to follow all of this. That severe thunderstorm warning continues in Hill County. And let's see, how much time do we have left on that? That's for another 37 minutes here. So a little bit of time. That's until 9 p.m. for that severe thunderstorm warning. So that continues on for a while here, and probably appropriately so, because these storms not moving much at the moment. They will pick up momentum, but we just had both of those kind of hit each other, and that kind of slowed things down. They're getting reorganized, and we will see them start to increase in pace here, moving to the southeast fairly soon into Limestone and Freestone counties. And then Hill County here, this storm kind of just sitting there. So really for Hill and Navarro counties both, I would say we are looking at an increasing flood risk here. As those continue to move on to the southeast, that will be a growing concern. Jasmine, we don't have anything moving in behind this. We've had some discussion about a weather app, the Weather Channel app and the Fox 4 weather app, that are saying there will be a large complex that develops between Abilene and Wichita Falls that blows through later tonight. Not thinking we're going to see that, but I'll keep an eye on things in case that just happens to come to pass. Doubtful, but not really too confident that we'll see that. And again, when can we expect it to die down a bit southeast of Corsicana? So I'm expecting this to be in the area for at least the next hour or so. It's going to take a little bit of time for it to kind of get reorganized and really start to move again, but it will pick up pace and start moving more to the southeast fairly soon. But I would say prepare for this to be around at least for probably, like I said, another hour or so. And that's why I'm mentioning the threat of this flooding, because that heavy rain will be around for a while. And so that could very well cause us some issues here. Going to take a peek at satellite over here, kind of see what we're looking at as far as, we can't really see the clouds on the visible radar. Let's see if I can see it another way. Okay, plenty of clouds here, so I don't expect we'll see clear skies very soon in terms of what we have over our particular area. So, not really that confident that we're going to see any sunny skies, or at least clear skies overnight. It wouldn't be sunny skies; it would be clear skies overnight. About 2¼ inches in the last hour at Richland Chambers. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Is the rain rates are pretty high there, and there's already been so much flooding in this area. So Hill and Navarro counties, those are areas I'm concerned about seeing some of that increasing flood risk. I won't be surprised to see a flash flood warning go out for at least Navarro County. Probably, I would say, for Hill County as well. I think it's going to be necessary in both places. And just because, again, it's not these storms are not moving very quickly. They're not displacing very quickly. We're seeing those. You can see this move in here, and so that storm that was moving easterly, that pushed to the southeast now, kind of combined with all of this that's getting reorganized here. I think eventually we will see this get reorganized. We will see a fairly strong line move to the southeast. Brittany, again, the color you're seeing in the sky, the yellowish kind of orange, it's all dependent on how the light scatters when it's going through the clouds. So water scatters light and in different ways here. So that's really what you're seeing there. It's just a matter of the sun going through the clouds, and yellowish orange, I guess, is just whichever, that's the color that scatters the quickest or the most. And so that's the one that you're seeing. You can get different colors through different kinds of cloud formations and different volumes of cloud, different densities of clouds. There's a lot of different variables there at play, but that just happens to be the color of the clouds that is most visible at the moment. So back in Waxahachie, you're getting the sun through the clouds on the backside of that. So that's what is kind of causing that whole effect there. Very little lightning and thunder, which is odd, which such heavy and wind is picking up too. Mark, remind me of your location, because that's going to give me the best idea of what you're seeing there. Definitely seeing this storm in far southeastern Navarro County pick up in intensity here. Looks like some gustier winds there. That will be moving into parts of Henderson County, as well as, I believe that's Anderson County down to the south there in Palestine. So yeah, I mean, these storms not moving very much, but where they are moving, expect that those gusty winds and The severe thunderstorm warning continues for a while now, another almost half hour in Hill County. I'm not sure that will continue through that whole period, but again, they could be leaving that there because these storms could very well intensify here. Let me get this stuff out of my pockets. This got me distracted here. If anything, we could be looking at some increasing winds south of Hillsborough here. So gusty winds south of the Hillsborough area. Nolan said, get ready for roofers in your area at 6, 7, 8 a.m. They're coming for your area for any hail damage. I am a roofer, however, I am not a ambulance chaser, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I mean, you definitely. And of course, here we work with Synergy Roofing. You can call them for a free inspection tomorrow if you think you might have damage from any of the storms that we've had recently. I know they'll have to look at my roof, but you can call them at 972-953-5064. And they don't go, like he's saying, they're not storm chasers. They're not going out there. I had a roofing company just the other day. I have a very clear no soliciting sign on my door. They didn't care. They still knocked on my door and left a business card. And to me, that makes me lose all respect for people. But they really don't. They really don't care. Nolan, put a note on your door saying we have a roofer, and so no one knocks and bothers you. They don't care. They're still going to knock. They're still going to bother you. They're still going to bug you. They are desperate for those sales. But Synergy Roofing, they are going to be professional about it. They're going to help you out with understanding what the situation is. They're going to help you understand what the expectations are. It's to get a clearer understanding of what's up there, what the insurance is looking for, what your coverage might include, those kind of things. Synergy Roofing is great because they'll keep you informed in addition to making sure you get the roof that you need. Nolan, if it says roofer, they got balls to knock. Ignore them. Well, that's what I'm saying. Is some of these companies, you can put that note out there and they just don't care. I mean, like I said, my no soliciting sign is very clear and they still knocked. So, these guys running through the neighborhoods, they really don't care some. So this is the the flash flood warning that I was waiting for. Greatly appreciate the National Weather Service for that. So from southern Hill County through Navarro County into Henderson County. So flash flood warning put into place, and that will continue on until what? We're probably 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock. So 11:30. 11:30 p.m. So I was almost right. I almost had it, but 11:30. That is where that will run out in terms of what we're seeing there. I'm being asked to look at the velocity near Purdon, and so let me take a look at that here. Now, so I'm not seeing, that doesn't look like any emergent rotation here. I mean, you're seeing some colors here and there, but I'm not immediately concerned about that. I'm not seeing the kind of tight rotation that could cause a concern there. Let's kind of zoom in. Let me get that on camera here. And I know people are probably looking at this hook here, so that's probably what's grabbed your attention, just north of Pursley. So let me pull that up on velocity and just kind of take you through that. So we do have some red and some green. If anything, that could be some broad rotation, but I'm not seeing really tight, focused, centered rotation at this point. So that's the good news there is there could be some broad rotation going on there. It looks like there might be, but it remains broad rotation at this point. But we'll keep an eye on that. And then we also have some gustier winds in parts of Hill County. Here is Hillsborough, Chad Abbott, Penelope Malone. So gustier winds here too. But again, I'm not seeing any kind of focused rotation at this time. But we will continue to monitor that, of course, as always. I've got the velocity kind of over my shoulder here. So we'll keep watching that there. But for the moment, I'm not seeing anything that has me immediately concerned about these particular areas. And hearing there's light rain in Waxahachie, hearing that if there's light rain in Waxahachie, it's just going to be leftover stuff, probably from high clouds. But I'm not concerned about a new storm moving in there or anything of that sort. Which way is that broad rotation moving? Should we take cover? So not at the moment. Broad rotation, it takes tighter centered focused rotation to produce a tornado. So this broad rotation, I'm not immediately concerned about that. Trust me, I will let you know if I'm concerned about it. I'll make that very clear. But at the moment, I'm not seeing anything that has me too worried just at this moment. But I will continue to monitor that in case we see that. And I mean, it could turn into, focused rotation, more robust rotation fairly quickly. And so I'm not saying that it's not worth watching, but I don't think that it requires action at this second. Just take a look here. Let me check in on something. So the flash flood warning again goes until 11:30. Maria, how can I send a picture of the clouds? You can send it through. You can send the page a direct message or send an email to kevin@southmetroweather.com. Either way that'll work. So rain really picking up again. Right under the broad pink southeast corner in Navarro County. So yeah, I mean, the rain rates are definitely picking up here. Could be getting some small hail south of Kearns on the east side, northeast side rather, of Richland Chambers Reservoir. So definitely seeing that, picking up the precipitation there. And as far as our area is concerned, this is really all that we have left as far as what we're concerned with here. So continuing to see this get a little more organized and moving to the southeast here. Looks like this is kind of building a little bit northward towards the Milford area, towards Italy. So Italy, you could get some more lightning and thunder and some rain building in there, but nothing too intense there. Everything, the strongest activity is from Hillsborough down to Hubbard and then through most of Navarro County. Laura, south of Rice is dark as night. I mean, I will say that sunset was at 8:30. Let's see. It's 8:35. Sunset was at 8:30. So, I mean, don't forget that sunsets are coming earlier. So, I mean, it is dark, but we're losing daylight quickly anyway. Let's see. A little north of Hillsborough and already got 2 inches in the rain gauge. So, yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of rain here. So that's why we have that flash flood warning in place. I'm thankful the National Weather Service did that because we are definitely looking at a flood threat here with these storms that are kind of taking their time getting this southeast motion back together again. And we had those storms kind of combine here, the sea breeze storms combining with that complex. And so that led to a much more, eventually will lead to a much more organized line, and that will continue on to the southeast. But until that happens, we've just got a lot of heavy rain dumping over these two areas. Do we need to worry much in Whitney? Jessica, there's not really much happening in Whitney right now. There's a storm to the west there, but it does not look to be headed that direction anytime soon. So in the Whitney area, you may be seeing some lightning in different directions here. But that's yeah, I mean, that's what we're seeing as far as immediately in Whitney. I mean, I'm not seeing much happening there in the near future. Quarter-size hail, Richland Chambers. So yeah, that's going to be that part of the storm that I was talking about, where it's intensifying there, moving into Henderson County. So not expecting much more for Navarro County here at least, but that is making its way to the east there into, as I said, Henderson County. Yeah, I mean, as far as Ellis and Johnson County, definitely nothing going on in Johnson County right now. Ellis County, maybe some light rain near Ennis. Milford and Italy probably getting some rain just on the kind of the edge of this larger storm here. But aside from that, really not much going on in that particular area. It's just much more relaxed. And so the severe thunderstorm warning in Hill County continues on for about another 23 minutes here. And I don't know that this storm is severe at this time. Well, it looks like it could be starting to finally get reorganized there. So we will kind of pay attention to that here as we go forward. And we'll see what that ends up doing. But it does look like that storm may finally be getting reorganized after all of that motion from the south moved in, kind of threw those storms off a little bit, threw off their momentum for sure, and made them start losing some of that organizational momentum. Nothing's headed to Palmer right now, so Palmer looks like you're done for the evening here. Not really anything happening there. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to put, let me pull up another screen of radar here. And I want to watch out to the west to see if we get that complex coming together. Again, I don't really expect it to, but that's what we were talking about earlier, which was the possibility of a complex blowing up between Abilene and Wichita Falls. Not thinking that's going to happen, but I mean, we'll pay attention there and see what that does. Now, we'll zoom into a couple of things here. Okay, let's see. So we are watching, let me just quickly look here. So what's interesting is that we're seeing these winds here, and if anything, it looks like this could be a downburst. I don't know that this is I don't know that this is rotation at this point. I mean, I'm sure you're kind of seeing this moving this direction, but this looks almost more like a downburst to me. So this is a downburst is when the winds move down and out. So kind of spreading out, and you kind of see how it gets broader here. I'm thinking that these winds are kind of spreading out, and that's causing some of these colors that we're seeing here. That's where you're going to get heavier rain, because it is not on a part of the storm where we have a rain-free base. So we're not seeing an updraft here. But yeah, I mean, we're kind of seeing maybe some increasing hail there. So southwest of Corsicana, northeast of Dawson, that's where we're seeing on the velocity some motion, but I think that we're probably seeing a downburst there. I don't think that we're seeing rotation at this point. But I'm going to continue to monitor that. Sometimes one can lead to the other, but I'm not thinking that we're seeing that in that particular area there. And we'll be paying attention to the Hill County storm too. If we talk about near Penelope, where we kind of see this little bit of an inlet here, we are looking at some winds that are moving different directions here. But again, if this is rotation, it's very broad. I'm not seeing anything immediately concerning in that particular area. So there are a couple of things we're watching as far as those winds, but I think that we're looking at more straight line winds southwest of Corsicana here. I think that's probably going to be our biggest concern. Yeah, so very strong winds in Oak Valley. So I think that's probably more straight line winds for that particular area. And I keep getting an itch right there right below the nose. I don't know why that happens. It drives me so crazy. I think winds behind the storm will happen. It's possible that we could get some gustier winds overnight. I'm not seeing that at the moment, but I can't rule it out. So we've had that happen a few times with these storm complexes where we'll be behind the storm, and that's when we start to see some of those increasing winds where we're getting some of that outflow, or we get one of those wake lows, right, where the storms collapse and that kind of thing. So there's just different dynamics. Sometimes they can give you stronger winds behind these storms, but I don't think that's going to be the case, at least not in the near future. Now, if these storms get squished and get wiped out, then, I mean, it's possible. But I'm not thinking that's going to really happen at this point. I'm seeing that the severe thunderstorm warning in Bosque County has been allowed to expire, so that is something. I'm going to continue watching. Let's jump over to Hill County here, near Penelope. I'm going to continue to watch this because I'm seeing more inflow here on the reflectivity, and it's a little, again, it's really modulated, so it's kind of hard to see here, but could be seeing more inflow coming in near Penelope here. So we could be looking at some increasing rotation there with that storm. Just to kind of show you what I'm talking about on the reflectivity here. That's what I'm saying is we're starting to get more inflow here just south of Penelope. So we'll continue to watch this storm, kind of make sure that we're not building rotation there. But I will keep an eye on that for sure here. And again, in the Navarro County storm from Richland over towards Dawson, could be looking at straight line winds, some stronger winds beginning to pick up there. So just be prepared for that as that storm moves through. We could very well see. I think we're probably going to end up seeing this form more of a bow echo as we go forward here. Yeah, I think we're going to see a more smooth bow echo start to kind of take over here in the next several minutes here for those winds that are moving in. And we'll watch that too, that east of Dawson. We'll watch to make sure we're not looking at inflow creating another inlet, another notch like we're seeing in the Hill County storm. But all those, could be early indications of some rotation, but nothing to be too alarmed about at this moment. The main issue, the main concern continues to be the flash flooding. And we do have that flash flood warning in place. That is until 11:30 tonight. And seems like it's a long way away, but it takes time sometimes for those winds to recede. That Bosque County warning has expired. So that storm weakening, that could also be heading towards, really it's not moving much at all. So northern Bosque County, a little bit of a flood concern there, but really not much more of a concern there going forward because it is a storm that is quickly falling apart. Nothing headed towards Waxahachie right now. Everything is in parts of Hill and Navarro counties right now. That's where everything is focused. And so from Richland Chambers Lake through Corsicana, south of there towards Wortham, towards Dawson, Hubbard, on up to Hillsborough. So that's where we have all of these storms. There is a severe thunderstorm warning that continues for parts of Hill County until 9 o'clock. So about another 15 minutes here. And that's for 60 mile per hour winds and 1 inch hail. That's a pretty standard severe thunderstorm warning. So nothing particularly of note here. Now, behind Hillsborough, from Itasca over towards Whitney, we do have that severe thunderstorm warning. That's been kind of pulled back now. So that's just from Hillsborough down towards Hubbard. So only where you have that storm right now. And I am watching the velocity to see what the winds are doing to make sure we're not kind of building in more inflow here, trying to build in a hook. So we'll see what that does. Brian Brewer, another storm coming towards Midlothian around 11 o'clock. I'm sure you're looking at the future radar on either the WAP or the Weather Channel app. And I don't think that storm will materialize. We'll have to wait and see. In the next several minutes here, we should see a line of storms blow up near Wichita Falls to Abilene, that area. But I'm doubtful we're going to see that. So we will watch and see what that does. But I doubt that we will see that materialize and become an issue here. And let's see. Thank you to Maria for your Venmo donation. That is greatly appreciated there. All right, so this latest update on the radar here. So near Penelope, we were talking about that possible hook trying to form. Looks like that's kind of getting disrupted there. That inflow might be having a little bit of trouble getting organized there. Let's see what the velocity says in this update that's coming up. Looking at that over my shoulder here, and I have two screens because I want to be able to see those two. Yeah, so it looks like more straight line winds going on in Hill County. So right over Penelope here, some gusty winds, but it does look like the inflow has been disrupted here. So I think that overall we're going to steadily see a increasing risk of straight line winds for these storms. Taylor, you can see, if I get out of the way here, you can see that these storms are moving to the southeast. So they're all pretty well moving southeast at this point. They've kind of gotten through the merge of these different kind of boundaries here. We had the disturbance that was moving to the southeast and then the storms that were moving north. They've kind of gotten their act back together, so now they are definitely moving more to the southeast. So Corsicana, you will start finally calming down here over the next 20 to 30 minutes or so. Things are moving out of Hillsborough right now. I would say these storms will be in this area for about another hour or so. But that's kind of where things stand for the moment. Really crazy cotton ball looking clouds over Midlothian. So that's probably Mamatus. Yeah, Rick Workman, the Weather Channel showing more coming from north toward Cleburne. So that is, if you're talking about that future radar, we are waiting to see if that's going to verify. I've watched that several times. I've had several people talk about it, and I'm just going to put a post out there because I know that there's going to be a lot more people watching that. Let's just put in a general post out there. Um, okay. All right. So, all right. So yeah, I'm aware of the complex that the Weather Channel app shows moving toward our area around midnight, but I'm doubtful. So I'll just put a general post out there, and we'll see what comes up. Jennifer, I saw your message. I'll check that when I can. Uh, how is it looking for this being over in Navarro Mills? So Navarro Mills, I mean, you've got a little bit of time left. I would say 45 minutes, maybe an hour or so before it's completely out of there. But yeah, things are calming down in Corsicana fairly quickly. Taylor, after these storms in Corsicana and Currens, anything else coming to us? I'm not expecting it to come this way. So, not expecting anything moving our direction. So let me get over to these messages. I know there's people that are dying for me to read their messages here. Yeah, so these what you're seeing over behind the storm here is, and Jennifer, so I saw your message about the flooding. Um, so, and I got your message. Let's see. Several messages coming in of all the so there's mammatus clouds. That's what you're seeing out there. This is all mammatus. Um, that's what those puffy kind of cotton ball looking clouds are. That's what you're seeing. So not anything to be concerned about. But yeah, so it looks like that's a lot of the pictures that I'm getting here. So that's all mammatus clouds that you're seeing out there. All right, so let's see. Yeah, so Chase, that's definitely mammatus. Um, Mark, you think the atmosphere has worked over? Probably nothing tonight. I mean, yeah, that's possible. That's part of it. But I just don't see a mechanism that's going to create that storm complex northwest of us and blow all that through. I mean, we're going to keep watching it. I'll keep an eye out for it. But I don't really see that happening. So we'll see. Taylor in a lot, big lightning strike and thunderclap. Yeah, I mean, the storms are still there. I know it seems like they've been there forever. That's why you have that flash flood warning in place. But they are finally starting to move out. You can see that they've picked up their pace, starting to push to the southeast more quickly. And then, so that will help this stuff finally get out of here over the course of the next hour or so. The severe thunderstorm warning in Hill County, that continues on for about another 9 minutes here. Looks like the winds are definitely picking up near Richland here. So more straight line winds picking up in the storm in Navarro County right now. Looks like the winds are continuing in the Penelope area. Those are straight line winds. I'm not seeing rotation there, but gusty winds continue south of Corsicana, headed towards parts of Limestone and Freestone counties now. That will be kind of the next target area, as well as Anderson down at Palestine. So those are the kind of the next areas to get these storms. Northern Freestone County already getting it. Some hail possible in Malakoff right now. That will continue on to the east, southeast here too. Going to probably stay west of Athens here. But this all continues on to the southeast. And the biggest issue, again, the biggest concern that I have is going to be the flooding here. So the flash flooding, we've had so much rain already in all of these areas that, I mean, flooding is something that we really do not need. So, I mean, unfortunately though, we do continue to get lots of heavy rain here. But the good news is that we are seeing that greater motion of all of this activity moving to the southeast. moving more quickly now that we've had that sea breeze boundary come through. I apologize. I keep scratching here. I don't know why that just continues to itch like crazy. But southern Navarro County, the flooding issues continue. Southern Hill County, the concern continues there as well. Hubbard, Dawson, down towards Wortham, Streetman, and over toward Richland Chambers Reservoir there. So that's where I'm mostly concerned about the flooding going forward here. So let's actually take a look while we have a moment. Let's take a look at that's not what I wanted you to do. Let's take a look at the flood threat here, or excuse me, the hail threat. And again, outside of Hubbard here, again, this is near Malone. Needed to zoom in a little more to just kind of get. Been so pitch black for the last hour, some change, such a weird season. I mean, like I say, I remind you that sunset started, the sun set at 8:30. And so when you already have thick clouds and there's not a lot of light left, it's going to get black pretty quickly. So that's part of what you're seeing there. It's just there wasn't a whole lot of light to compete with those more dense clouds. So, it's been pitch black for a while. But if you're looking at hail, the biggest hail threat is north of Penelope, right near Malone. That's going to continue on towards Hubbard here. So not a particularly intimidating hail core here, but looks like a bit of hail probably going to be headed down 171 here fairly soon, down towards 31 towards Hubbard and Dawson. That's kind of where I'm expecting most of that to be moving here, and we could see that intensify as these storms continue to get organized, but overall, at the moment, it doesn't seem to be too intimidating a matter. So not too much at this point. But Corsicana, as I mentioned, it seems like it's just holding on and holding on. But we will continue to see that edge away from Corsicana. Eventually, it will be south of 31 here and clear out and wrap things up for that area. Kearns as well. Blooming Grove too. Rice, you're clear now. Really all of Ellis County pretty clear now. There's still a little bit there kind of hanging out near Italy and Milford, maybe some lightning strikes trying to kind of hang around near Maypearl. But most of Ellis County is done. Johnson County, you've wrapped up too. So the northern half of our area, Ellis and Johnson counties, things have pretty well wrapped up there. And then in Navarro County, plenty there. Things are finally clearing out in Hillsborough. It's just, so there goes that severe thunderstorm warning that has been allowed to expire here. And then we will see if they issue another warning there farther south. Again, we could see this hail core that continues to intensify moving towards Hubbard and Dawson. That could continue to grow and continue to raise those hail sizes. But for the moment, the main concern continues to be that flooding. So just remember, if you see flooding waters on a roadway, turn around, don't drown. Don't let that become an issue for you because it really doesn't take much to impact that vehicle. So turn around, don't drown. Just try to avoid those flooded roadways. And of course, if your neighborhood is flooded, your house is flooded, that kind of thing. Let me say this. If you're in a flood-prone area, right, if you've had known issues the last several days here, take necessary precautions. And your area, so you're probably familiar with what the best thing to do is. But just do what you can to kind of mitigate those concerns going forward. Tiffany DeBose, is there more coming tonight? Doesn't look like it. We've been talking about the possibility of a storm system coming through that the Weather Channel app and the Fox 4 WAP have been showing. Again, those are, really the same, is the same general map, same data. But, so we've been looking at that possibility, but I really am not thinking we're going to see anything else tonight. I think that we're done, and I think we can go forward fairly confident that this kind of stabilized the atmosphere, and we should be good to go there. Yeah, seeing some pictures of flooding here. Um, yeah, so seeing some flooding, seeing pictures of a lot of hail on the ground as well. So yeah, I mean, it's been quite a bit going on tonight, but I think for the most part, yeah, I really don't think we're going to see anything else tonight. If we do, it's going to be very isolated. Again, I've got. I know you're sending a lot of messages. Um, And so getting a lot of, it's still getting some messages about weather modification and weather cloud seeding, all these kind of things. The thing is that I understand that there has been research, I understand there's been experiments, I understand all of that. But to me, there's a big space between research and attempting to do something and successfully doing something and it being a regularly practiced government program. There's a big space there. I mean, you have studies on all kinds of stuff. You have experiments and attempts to do all kinds of stuff. To this date, I haven't seen real hardcore proof that yes, the government's doing this on a regular basis and all the weather we have is completely government controlled. So I just, there's number one, there's always nuance of that. There's just, you have to look at more detail there and kind of understand more that goes into that. See, I heard from the news yesterday we have another week or so of rain. Not quite. So midweek here, probably Wednesday, Thursday time period, we will have a ridge of high pressure that kind of at least temporarily kind of ends things for us here, kind of wraps things up. But for the most part, I will say that we are definitely looking at more chances of rain going forward. But overall, I would say that we're not looking at just a straight week of rain. There is a little more to that. I'm going to try to, I'll of course have a forecast out tomorrow morning for us to share all of that. But for the moment, I can tell you that I'm not looking at just straight rain for the next week. Fortunately, we do have some opportunities for breaks in there, at least for just a couple of days. And so this continues on to the south. Looks like that's constricting, getting a little more organized. No severe thunderstorm warnings at this moment right now. And it looks like the radar hadn't done much. And there we go. There's an update. I was about to say, not seeing any kind of updates there. Looks like there could be some gustier winds towards Richland there. I think we're seeing some hail cores probably come together. So really, these storms are getting more organized, and we'll see stronger stronger storms headed into Freestone County here and parts of Limestone County there too. But this is all finally moving out of Navarro County. Obviously, southern Navarro County is still covered by this. Still a lot of lightning, heavy rain, and some small hail mixed in there too. But I'm not seeing anything that's too extreme at this moment. And Casey, thank you so much for your donation to the Venmo. Greatly appreciated there. And I'm still not seeing anything blowing up between Wichita Falls and Abilene. So again, I'm doubting that that whole system that we saw overall in the Weather Channel app and the Fox 4 app. I'm not thinking that we're going to see that overnight. I'll continue to watch it. I'll continue to see if that's going to happen, but I'm doubtful at this point that it will. Hannah, yeah, I mean, we should be done in Ellis County. Ellis County, once this line moves out of our area, we should be done from there. So I'm not seeing any kind of rotation at this moment. I am seeing south of Richland, we have some increasing gusty winds, but that's probably straight line winds at this point. I think we're going to see increasing straight line winds as this gets into Fairfield areas, Fairfield, Mejia, Wortham, and just Limestone and Freestone counties in general. So I think that we will see that picking up, but that is, of course, south of our core area. So I'm going to wrap up the live stream here, kind of give myself a chance to breathe a little bit. I do still have to eat some dinner here, so I want to make sure that I'm nourished as well. But more updates are to come on the South Metro weather page. I will, of course, bring more updates if we are looking at that system coming in overnight. Again, I still doubt it, but we will see. So thank you so much for tuning in.